in a corruption embedded budget. So that's why I said we must go back to the basics. If we want to reform this country and reform the bureaucracy and reform service delivery to the amusement of the entire citizenry, then we must go back to the basics and do what is right. Now, talking about the bureaucracy, of course, we've seen them. The budget of Mr. President today is nothing different to the budget of other presidents. You see here the same thing: human capital development taking priority, talking about security taking priority. And the difference I had now was talking about internal security, to overhaul the internal security system for a better protection. I agree to that. There is the need for that. I'm not saying there is no need to invest a lot of money in a lot of sectors, critical sectors. For instance, education, security and infrastructure. Talking about works and infrastructure.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that, Alistair. We'll get to that, Alistair. Your colleague Segun Sopiton is with us. Segun Sopiton, what's your initial take? Your initial salvo of the totality.
Good evening.
Good evening. What's your initial take of the totality of what was read this morning?
Well, I mean, it's no longer news that we have this what a $6 trillion budget, and we're thinking.
The connection is a bit. We may let the Segun, the technical team. Hello?
I'm sorry, can you hear me?
Now we can. Okay. Now we can hear you.
Let me try again.
Okay, Alistair, let me come back to you whilst our technical team is sorting Segun's connection. Alistair, I am hearing a silent, discreet voice of frustration from a savvy business analyst whose primary occupation also speaks to figures. I seem to be, from your earlier remarks, without being too acerbic, without being too antagonistic, or without being too, there is a subtle underlay of frustration that I'm hearing in your voice, especially around the bureaucracy. Your trust in the implementers of the budget. The vision may be good, the vision may be great, but here I'm listening to a seasoned professional. Is that you respect the general, but the foot soldiers, you don't see discipline, you don't see forthrightness. Am I being too judgmental of your opinion? Please help me.
Well, you are not. Every sound mind and every lover of this country, like I do, I love this country with passion, with all my heart, with all my soul, and I feel so concerned about happenings in the country. And you know my credentials. I have always been a supporter of government ever since. I speak for government, even though I've never been anywhere near part of those who call the show in government. I've always been supportive and remain supportive and will always remain supportive of government, because that is the only country I have, and I'm so proud to be a Nigerian. So I love this country, and yes, you are not wrong in saying my frustration, because my frustration has always been the fact that we've had beautiful budgets. Today we're discussing the federal government budget. I hope you call me back. Let's discuss some of the state budgets, because it looks like everybody will always concentrate on the federal government budget, which may not affect us so much like our state university budget will affect us. But let me take, since now we're discussing federal government budget. You see, for every budgetary cycle, we have people that are ready to to slice the cake and put in their pockets. That is why you will see budgets for roads, they will not be done. You will see budgets for infrastructures, they will not be built. At the end of the day, you will hear that recurrent expenditure, which is the consumption part of the budget, is implemented 100%. Sometimes you look for additional, you go for a supplementary budget. But the capital budget that should affect the generality of the people is maybe sometimes you have as low as 40% implementation. For me, that shows that the implementers of the budget or the entire gamut of governance is not in tandem with the speeches of the president, with the beautiful romantic speeches of the president in the budget. The entire gamut of the implementers and the administration is not in tandem. If not, you'll not be hearing the hue and cry. But like, if our budgets that we have made over the years, let's say since democratic dispensation came into being, Nigeria should have been competing with Malaysia, with Singapore in terms of development. But no, at the end of the day, you hear crass corruption everywhere. Is it part of the budget? The answer is no. But because the implementers have a different ideology, a different idea altogether, you see clear case of waste. You see clear case of waste and profligacy damn the consequences. After all, EFCC will investigate, ICPs will investigate, nothing will happen. And that's what we find ourselves in. And that is my pain, Bola. That is not because I'm against anybody in government or against the president or against his speech. I love the president. I love this country. I love this country with all my heart and with all my blood. But sincerely, we can do far better with even the little we have. Now we're targeting 18 trillion revenue. As far as I'm concerned, that's a child's play. 18 trillion in our economy is a child's play. We can do far better than that. If you deflate our budget now into put it into dollar, that's about $27 billion. So it's a child's play concerning what South Africa is doing. I mean, that could be the budget of that is less than budget of California or budget of some states in the US. But even with our own environment, with what we are expecting, if there is account, the president is talking about involving international partners for accountability. They've all been involved. International partners, we have all the laws. The Public Procurement Act is a big enabling anti-corruption piece of legislation that should guide our budget.
Let me go to your colleague Segun Sopitan, who is now on phone. I guess his internet connection is not allowing us the grace and the beauty of seeing his lovely face audiovisually, but at least we have the audio. Make we self no over chop am. So we reduce. Segun, good to have you. You want to give us your summary take of the major issues addressed in the budget today by Mr. President. Hello, Segun. Hello, Segun.
Good evening, Mr. Agolaba.
Good evening. Thank you for your tenacity and persistence. Some other persons would have been frustrated. I really want to appreciate you for this. Kindly give us the summary of your take of the issues in the budget as raised by the president today.
Well, I mean, I think the key issue for me is the fact that this is more of the same. You know, it's that it's the same budget cycle that we've seen the country go through over the last, God knows, 2 decades or so. So it looks almost like a copy and paste budget. I don't see anything that will inspire the confidence that the things that the president says he wants to achieve, that he will achieve them. You know, the budget is a policy document, and you begin to look at the budget if you want to determine the direction that the government is likely to go in. So if we still want to become a $1 trillion economy in 7-8 years, then there are certain things that we need to do from today that will set us on that path. And that this budget has not shown anything particularly significant that suggests that we will head in that direction. So we still have the normal deficits, a significant, huge deficit. We still have revenue shortfalls. We still have capital expenditure that is grossly inadequate.
Okay,
relative to
Segun, when an expert like you is talking and you are loading those points one on the other, we may be doing a lot of disservice to people who may not be as knowledgeable in the arcane theories of economics as you are. Let me focus on some of the things you have actually stated now and what may be the implication, positively or negatively, on the awesomeness of the economy. You are a bit not happy, and any sensible person should not be happy with debt. So you emphasized the fact that the debt, the tradition of indebtedness, borrowing, is still in this budget. What may be the implication of that to the economy?
Well, I mean, it's really very simple. It just means that whatever revenue that the government is generating, 90 to 95%, sometimes maybe even 100%, will go to pay off our debt service obligations. We are maintaining that track even in this budget. You know, so how can we develop if we are spending all of our income paying creditors, and such that we then have to keep borrowing to get ourselves out of the of the revenue shortfall.
Fantastic point, Segun. But the natural question that will come to the mind of an average person listening to the well-made point is that what if the money that we are now paying back to our creditors, what if that money had been used for because perhaps that the sizable part of that money may have been used to just pay salaries, which would be a disaster.
Yeah, that this point you make is exactly the problem. You look at this budget and you find that the capital expenditure component is just under 25%, if I'm not mistaken, because I've done the analysis. The non-debt recurrent component is about 60 to 70%. This is huge. And what we're saying is that we're borrowing money. All of the revenues that the government has is going to pay off the monies we're borrowing. Then we'll now have to get the deficit funding to pay salaries and then to fund capital projects in a very small quantum that will not meet our requirements. We have to do something different. I think the point here is that if the president had promised that he was going to, have reforms, the starting point of these reforms will be our budgeting process. And yes, you might argue that, this is just less than 1 year into his tenure. Maybe we will not be able to see some of those budget reforms now because really he has inherited the process. So we'll have to wait till the 2025 budget, which will be presented in 2024, before we can begin to judge him. Well, I can grant that, but I would think that there are some things that we can still see in this that will show some will and some political leadership in that direction. And of course, we shouldn't forget to mention all of the very extravagant and financially profligate provisions in both the national budget, the National Assembly budget, across all the states. All of these things are there, and it's just showing us that nothing is changing.
Okay, Segun, let me quickly jump over to your colleague, Alistair. Your colleague is a bit is wearing the same color of jersey, intellectually and emotionally, as you seem to be wearing. The gentleman too is not too enamored with the lack of innovation in the budgeting style or doctrine that's just been same of as we used to say in those days in Mushi, same of the shame, and that he is not too, just like you. To an average Nigerian now, we must be speaking to solutions, because you people, you manage portfolios of companies, and I guess what families do, what companies do, will be what nations also need to do to turn around, a misdirected ship. Alistair, what are the ideas that people like you and Segun, starting with you now, Alistair, what are the ideas that you want to be seen on the table? You have made the point of reform of the civil service. It can't be, they can't be playing at the same level of league. You want them to up their game, the civil service. But Segun is also speaking about lack of vision. The budget does not seem to him to be inspiring, inspirational. What are some of the ideas that you will like to put on the table?
Well, let me thank Segun. I'm sure he didn't hear me when I spoke to exactly what he said. Like giving the president some slack, because he didn't have a year luxury of time to do that budget reform. But if there is no budget reforms in terms of going back to the basics, let us start from the zero big budgeting, which I'm sure President Bola Tinubu, coming from the private sector, he has not forgotten how it is in the private sector, that nobody does things the same way and expect a different result. That is insanity. Because if you really want to carry out those bold reforms and and make the economy work for everyone, then those bold reforms in terms of budgeting process must be. And so I'm expecting my solution one, expecting a different budgeting approach for 2025 budget, which will be delivered in 2024. And the time is now to start. It is not all this kind of agbada that I'm seeing on your screen now. All the governors, ministers,
Alistair, don't be angry.
And smiling.
But you are taking me. Hello, Alistair. You have actually taken me. I was actually begging you, don't be angry. I can see a man who is trying to be very polished in not being openly angry. But Alistair,
I'm not angry. I'm not angry, but
I was joking. I was joking. You know, I was joking. But let me make this point, please. Please let me make this point so that you can attend to it. Alistair, the fact is that the man has a rich private sector background like you and Segun Sopitan. But the irony now is that the ecosystem of where it's functioning now is an ecosystem that is subjected to bad tradition. The legislature will, the two chambers of the National Assembly, they will still want their 180 million naira vehicles. They still want to live as, they will still want remunerations and perks that are far greater than what an average American senator gets. I hope I'm making a point. And coming into that environment, the kind of initiative you take in the private sector, you now as an accountant and a consultant, a business management consultant, you will look at somebody like me who is running a business and you tell me, Bola, the way you are running this business, you will run it aground if you don't do this, this and this. But some characters in the legislature, they just don't want to hear that. Whatever may be your problem, let us have our cake now and eat it. How is reform going to hold in that environment?
Well, it's not just the legislature. It's the entire mindset of the entire country, because it's not just legislature. Well, if your brother, if you go there and you want to be Gboloba, and then you go back to Munshi and tell them grammar, they will abuse you. They will chase out of Munshi. They say, "What do you bring for us?" So you see, so even what is happening by them is exactly what the society is sometimes unwittingly put pressure on them to do, and come back home with, don't come empty-handed. It's just like a civil servant who has worked for 35 years. He doesn't have a house. Where is he coming back to? The people will tell him, you are a fool. So in every budgeting process, he's looking for how to build the third, fourth, fifth, sixth house to secure his future send the children abroad. Now, Bola, I'm not saying it's hopeless. You see, leadership is everything. Remember when President Muhammad Buhari came to power, the very first three months, they said this is a no-nonsense man. And a lot of people shifted grounds and say, let us see how it's going to be. It is when they discovered that the man was no longer the Buhari of 1984, and the man now has leeway. He's not a father, no longer the Buhari that we know in 84. Everybody just begin to come back to business as usual, and you're hearing some of the worst corruption in the system. Look, if we don't tame corruption, and President Bola Ahmed Tinubu knows it, he knows he has been in the private sector, he's been in the public sector, he's been in the public sector. He ran Lagos State. He turned around what happened in Lagos. Yes, it's not going to be a day, it's not going to be a year, it's not going to be 6 months, but it is now time to start setting the foundation. There was a person he did and reversed, which I was very angry with. Now, let me tell you the truth, Bola, and I'm saying this: the university system is one of the most corrupt institutions we have, one of the most corrupt systems we have in the country. The university are so corrupt to the point that you just keep putting in money, you're not seeing any output. So when that policy of 40% deduction from IGR of universities came to was pronounced, I was so happy about it, because you leave so much money in the hands of these people, they will mismanage the money and they will keep blackmailing the government. The amount of money the government spends in the education is unprecedented. Yet nothing, I repeat, nothing.
Okay,
now,
let me go to
lecturers will prepare. Let me just make point, sir. Let me just make quickly. Lecturers will prepare to be lackadaisical at the University of Lagos, University of Ibadan, and they'll be doing part-time in other private universities and putting their best. The other one, they must be paid. Some discipline must come into the system. Without discipline and leadership, we'll just be mounting budget at the end of the day. At the end of the day, it will become same of same. So there must be leadership, discipline, and then retuning of our mindset. It starts with
okay, Alisa, let me go to your colleague.
I'm sure that will key in.
Let me go to Segun Sopetan. Lester is giving me the impression that this is sheer histrionics, and that the job is yet to be effectively done. Same of the shame. Hello, Segun.
Yes, I'm with you. I agree with Alistair. I think for me, my overall reaction to this whole budget thing is that, first of all, if you convert this budget to dollars, you find that, as usual, there's no significant increase in the volume of the budget that we have. And statistics tell me that Nigeria has one of the lowest budgets per capita in the world. Our budget per capita is lower than that of Ghana, is lower than that of almost all our neighbors in the West African coast. Is far lower than South Africa, far lower than Egypt.
Segun, to corroborate the point you are making, Citizen Bola Ahmed Tinubu, before he became president, had also spoken to this very vital point that you're making, that Nigeria's budget, in fact, that Nigeria's budget, by the nature of its size, diminishes the economic opportunities within the economy. And that, for somebody who had always spoken to a bigger budget to galvanize the economic growth, I don't want to be the guest on this show. I'm as equally shocked that this budget is as Lilliputian as it has always. Maybe my opinion. Take it on from me, please.
Exactly. So our budget now, this budget is roughly, if you go by the official exchange rate of around 800 naira to the dollar, it's about $34 billion, which is about the range that we have operated since the Jonathan days. So we cannot say we want to run a 1 trillion naira economy in 7 to 8 years and still be running the same budget. I had thought that the president will sit down. He has had 6 months since he became president. And by the way, he has been gunning to be president for much longer than that. And he has known that he was going to be president since February. or is it March of this year? So you know, if we want to be honest with ourselves, he's had almost 10 months, you know. Can we have come up with a budget that would have at least doubled on the budget of last year? And can we have looked at how to cut the cost of governance radically whilst increasing revenues aggressively in a manner that, because the citizens are seeing the cuts in cost of governance, the implication of the additional burden on them of the revenue increase for government would have been acceptable? Could we have tried that? Could we have seen government going in, for example, for a revenue profile for the federal government alone of 15 trillion or maybe 20 trillion, whilst by the time you aggregate those from the other states, you know, across the federation, maybe you add another 10 to 15 trillion, and we talk of a 40 trillion revenue budget, then maybe with a 20 trillion deficit, and you are talking of a total budget size of, let's say, 60 trillion naira, as against this 27 trillion that we presented. You know, then we will know that we're serious. We will know that, oh my goodness, something has changed, something is shifting. We haven't seen anything like that, and honestly, that's just my own concern. I think that the president really needs to come back to, you know, doing the things that he was saying before he became president.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate you. I guess in the last 1 week or thereabout, we have had to take, you know, quality time from you for the enlightenment of our viewing public. I really sure do appreciate you, my brother. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Alistair, I can't thank you enough, at least for also when an accountant and an economist agree, then something fundamentally needs to be done and done urgently. Because the economists
exactly, but you're not far from it. Something fundamental and urgent.
The economics sees the bigger picture. The accountants looks at the nano figures, and yet the two of you are seeing anemia. You are seeing leanness. You are seeing urgent need for reform. You are seeing a need for a vision review that will be more inspiring. Alistair, thank you. Alistair, thank you very much. We really appreciate you. Thank you.
Thanks for having me, Bola. I'm grateful. I hope we'll come back and discuss Lagos State budget and River State budget.
The state's budget, yeah. The states generally, to be honest with you, okay, maybe we pick one each from the geopolitical zone. Lagos in the southwest. Yes. Yeah, you are right. I think it's about time we did
Rivers,
that.
Kanu, and then we begin to take it from there, because they are a major arm of development of the country, and we need to focus on them and begin to let the public know.
Wonderful, wonderful. Alistair, I give you my word on that. Thank you very much. Today's throwback. The little dictators at the back of the room are already, you know, how Port Harcourt was founded. Okay, Alistair has been excused. How Port Harcourt, because Port Harcourt na Rivers boy. He once called the Ogunpa River when he was posted to Ibadan to go and serve as a youth corper. Born in Bonny, he was born in Bonny. They sent him after graduating from University of Port Harcourt to Ibadan to go, and he said, he asked people, where is that Ogunpa River that is killing people? And they pointed to, I said, this gutter on the Core River. Anyway, what would you expect from a boy that was born on the Atlantic Ocean? Okay, how Port Harcourt was founded. In 1912, Port Harcourt was established by Frederick Lugard, who was the governor of both the Northern Nigeria Protectorate and the Southern Nigerian Protectorate. This was before amalgamation anyway. The port was built in 1912, but not given a name until August 1913, when it was named Port Harcourt in honor of Louis Harcourt, first Viscount Harcourt, then the Secretary of State for the Colonies, and a very good friend of Lord Lugard, with whom the 1914 amalgamation was perfected against the advice of some in the colonial service and some educated natives like Shakpara Williams. Its main purpose, and I repeat, the main purpose of founding Port Harcourt was to export the coal that was discovered in Enugu by geologist Albert Ernest Kiston in 1909. You see, the infrastructure they were providing in those days were essentially to get resources out here. The colonial government took over the land of the people of the Obu, and construction of a port town began in the same year. Over time, other nearby villages like Oroworuko, Oromeru Zumbu, Nkwogu, and Rumomasi were absorbed into the city. The creeks to the south of the original port were inhabited by the fishing camps and grounds of the Wakirike Ijaw group. During the First World War, Port Harcourt was used as a base for military operations against the Central Powers in German Cameroon. Then, in 1956, crude oil was discovered in Oloibiri, and Port Harcourt exported the first shipment from Nigeria in 1958. That's when the city became the oil capital of Nigeria. The growth of Port Harcourt was also due to its position as the commercial engine room and foremost industrial city of the former Eastern region. Its location in the Niger Delta and its significance as the center of social and economic life in Rivers State. After the Republic of Biafra seceded from Nigeria in 1967, Port Harcourt fell to Nigerian forces on 19 May 1968. The city expanded dramatically from 15.54 kilometer radius in 1914 to 360 kilometer radius in 1980. I am Bola Oba. Have a good day.
Increase the reach of your events or business services. To advertise on Plus TV Africa, please call 0906 000 5719 or 0909 040 8408, or send an email to marketing@plustvafrica.com. Plus TV Africa. Big stories live here.
In every age, the good old days were always memories to cherish. Although no one ever thought they were good at that time, for every age has consisted of crises that seemed intolerable to the people who lived through them. Looking back now, one can really say, indeed, these days were good. My name is Tolulope Akmike Medebem Ni Adiolu, and here is my good old days story. I hail from Oderemo, Ogun State, but I was born and bred in Lagos Island Maternity, to be precise. My dad was His Royal Majesty Obasanjo Olufunsho Adeolu. He was an educationist, a seasoned broadcaster, actor, and finally he became an Oba, while my mom, Olori Adedayo Atinuke Adeolu, was a thoroughbred educationist. She was an English major. She rose through the ranks working for Lagos State Ministry of Education, where she actually retired as an education director. I am the fourth of 8 children and Olori's first. That's my mom. I grew up mostly with my aunties on Lagos Island, Ologbo, where my mom would drop me off and then pick me up over the weekend. My aunties were more like my big sisters then, and it was so much joy being with them. And guess what? We actually still deal the same way, even now as adults. They formed a core part of my childhood, and today, I proudly say anywhere that I was raised by 4 mothers, my mom inclusive. So imagine if these 4 mothers of mine got a whiff of my bad behavior in school. The story would never end, never. Each one of them would take turns to scold and punish me for bringing the family name and that of theirs to disrepute. Those were days of communal training where the community played a major role in child training and development. As much as these women, my moms, as much as they loved us and tried to ensure we charted our lives' course correctly, growing up, they couldn't always protect us from everything. I must say, I had my own share of bullying. I started wearing glasses at a tender age. These glasses were as thick as the Coke bottom bottle. Yes, such was the thickness of my glasses. I could not see without wearing them. different names people like us were called. Those days hurt, Sha. But the ability to move on regardless of all those snide remarks, developing a thick skin, and believing in what I can achieve through the grace that I have been blessed with by the Most High, saw me through those moments. In fact, it honestly contributed to who I have become today. I started my primary education at Yaniwura Nursery and Primary School in Ilupeju, Lagos, and then later moved to Estate Nursery and Primary School within the same Ilupeju environment. My secondary education was twofold. I started at Federal Government College, Ugwalao, where my uncle was the principal. And when he was transferred to Federal Government College, Sokoto, I naturally followed him to Sokoto, of course, to continue my secondary education. Such was the trust parents had on guardians in those days. The need to monitor a child and ensure that he or she was under a very strict control and tutelage of a mentor was considered essential for the moral and academic growth of such a child. Oh man, Sokoto taught me about being human. You may wish to ask, what does that mean? It meant that was where I learned that everyone was first human being before his tribe and ethnic learnings. At Federal Government College, Sokoto, we did not have or understand the divide of tribes or thongs. School then were not only about academics, but they were out to develop character as well. And that's what truly being educated is all about. We all grew up together, and today, quite a number of us are still friends, regardless of whatever situation or conditions we are presently in. Today, I am pretty much a people's person. All that matters to me about you as an individual, first and foremost, is the chemistry, not where you come from. And all this is, I believe, thanks to my orientation. Oh, testing times two. I mean, when a growing child will always be a child. Yes, I remember the story of caustic soda. In those days, I think my mom used it to wash the bathroom. It was a plastic beverage container kept away from peering eyes. One day, she sent me to get something from her room and I saw the container. I opened it and saw this sugar-looking substance and wondered why she kept it in her room. And guess what? I licked it and that was it. I started foaming. I ran into the sitting room and everyone went berserk, confused and scared. My mom lifted me and started running towards the hospital. I was rushed to the hospital where I was stabilized and brought home. On a good day, after all the drama, I would have still been beaten. But I think they believed I was traumatized enough, and she looked me in the eye and said, "That's what happens to thieves." No amount of beating could have shamed me like that, man. That was it. The tendency to steal perished forever in me. The first time my dad slapped me will be a story for another day. It was clear in my head, the biblical dictate of spare the rod and spoil the child. Over and over, my father would say that he had no inheritance he was leaving for any child. His greatest legacy to all of us, according to him, would be our education. So whatever he wanted to study, he was willing and ready to make it happen. Strangely, Dad's fame as an actor of repute wasn't something we thought about. I mean, it was just work as far as we knew. The only times it became a subject of discussion were when people saw you with him or found out he's your father and wanted to know what life is like living with him, or if he actually didn't have hands, based on his character in the famous Village Headmaster serial. Quite nostalgic. I recall how being his daughter impacted on me when I proceeded to Obafemi Awolowo University, Great Ife, where I obtained my bachelor's degree in arts from the Department of Dramatic Art. I had a lecturer who scored me rather low because he felt and actually knew I could do better. And he said to me, "To whom much is given, much is expected." That was a turning point of sorts in my academic. In those good old days, we were built to be resilient. We pushed on basically because we wanted to make our parents and ourselves proud. In the hierarchy of values, we were taught that honesty and integrity reign supreme. And I am very proud and thankful for these orientations and training. So what went wrong? Is it the same today as yesterday? I doubt. Is the situation hopeless? Certainly not. Is it possible to change the narrative? Absolutely yes. Like the lights that cannot be hidden under a bushel, like the faith as a mustard seed, I believe the glory of Nigeria will shine and we shall blossom again if we begin to plant into the hearts and minds of people these time-tested values of truth, honesty, integrity, and sincerity of purpose. Personally, I don't think the challenge is solely upon today's youth. It's our inability to create the right mentorship programs. The youths tend to emulate what they see around them. So if change must come, if tomorrow must be brighter, then the right attitude and values must be reenacted today. The onus lies on each one of us to keep showcasing those things that we want emulated. Change can and will happen through a collective will and joint resolve to make it happen. Change begins with each and every one of us standing together in truth and believing that truly we can make the difference. We all deserve a better Nigeria, better than those glorious days we speak about today. To this end, I join Sir Shemore Badejo in this collective desire to have a brighter future for not only our children, but for us too. God bless Nigeria. God bless all of us.
This is it for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Bukky November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Nigeria, by extension, Africa, is faced with a lot of challenges. The growing youth population with little engagement, that is a ticking time bomb. We are a blessed people with diverse culture and highly cerebral minds who have a lot to say. And yes, we are talking. It is important we drive the right conversation that informs, inspires, influences thought and action. If we say there's beauty in our diversity, then let us embrace our diverse culture. We must continue to courageously be the voice of transformation as we are the hope for the future. Yesterday's conversations shape today. What are you saying to shape your tomorrow? We know you have a lot to say, and we are here to hear you.
Hello and welcome to What Are You Saying? #Ways, where we talk about topics in the news as it affects us all. I am Osaiwa Mesale NJ. How are you?
I'm doing great.
How was your day? How was the week?
Deny you at this point because
Don't you understand?
you're not the ones cracking the
I
joke.
know. I don't understand.
You got something.
I know she did. I was going to refuse. We will not laugh so that you be the only person laughing. I was telling your viewers.
Why you're we're here to have a serious conversation.
How are you, Angel?
I'm good. I'm doing
How
good.
was your week? How was the weekend?
Well, it's been a great week. A lot has happened. We had a lot of conferences and stuff like that. And then I was put on the spot, so I had to speak. Thank God for Ways. I was able to speak and smile. But yeah, it was good. You know, there was a lot of talking. You know how conferences are, IT conferences with CIOs and CTOs and stuff like that. So you just have to keep selling. Like you're constantly saying the same thing in different forms. So you're just trying to sell. All that's behind your head is sell. So it's been. I'm happy that it was successful. You know, all the events we've attended and all that. So it's been quite productive.
Awesome, Johnny baby.
Yeah.
How are you?
Good.
What a one.
What do I say? I'm happy the year's coming to an end. Like I said, I feel like I need a long rest, right? If you leave me, I'll
gonna
start
be
my
long
rest
enough.
from now and then resume in January.
We are going on rest now. After we celebrate our...
We are going on rest. You and who?
You?
Ways is going.
Oh, okay.
That's my
Yeah, not our day job. Yeah. Okay.
Even my day job is not going on rest. Ways is going to go on. We're going to go on.
I think companies should start considering, really,
season break.
SMEs should start considering letting your staff actually rest.
Can we pay
Let the workers breathe.
No problem. We can also pay you half of the month salary.
Oh no, come on. I'm not talking about the full month. I'm not talking about the full month. I'm just talking about like ending, you know, on the 28th. You and who is in the office? All your clients have gone on leave, so I'm on break. So yeah.
Jennifer, I said you have 2 projects.
Yeah, I've been added to like 2 new projects with my existing one. So it's like I have to put myself in different directions. And honestly, right now,
Like you're in holiday mood.
I'm telling you,
Trust me, I understand
like
it.
every day I wake up, I have to constantly tell my brain, you need to wake up because we need to get this thing done before the year runs out, that kind of thing. But
Interesting.
Yeah, God is my strength.
The Lord
Yeah.
be with thee. Maybe we have
Also
work.
with you.
We had a very successful production over the weekend. I'm
that's
super
so
grateful for my entire team at Parallax. We
That's
did
amazing.
We did the 4 days back to back. It was marathon. Imagine waking up at 5 a.m., sleeping at 2 a.m. every day. It wasn't funny. So we had to take Monday, Tuesday off. Today was the first day we're resuming at work, and we have another project coming tomorrow. So it's a long list. But we're hoping to God that we finalize the week. No, you pray for successes and you pray for businesses. So for me, every opportunity that a client comes, a paying client, I mean, it's a blessing for me. I'm super grateful to God. I don't take it for granted. So thank you, Jesus. On that note, we want to discuss women, right? And from an inclusion standpoint. And here's what we found as today's quote. It says, give a woman $1 and she can put it to good use. Teach her about how money really works and she can change the world. This was from Linda Davis Taylor, the CEO and chairman of Clifford Swan Investment Counselors. I'm not so sure about women and money, because if you give me money, I'm a terrible manager of money. Like literally, so if for instance, with this project now, I literally had to hold myself back, because if you leave me, I can spend everything. I will not even think of profit or whatever. So every time when I hear that women are better managers of money, I say, well, does that apply to me? I don't think it applies to me, but hey, we'll have all that conversation. So when women have access to and control over financial resources, they can invest in their education, health, and businesses, leading to improved livelihoods for themselves and their families. So today, our very own Chinasa Collins Obu is here to discuss the topic, creating an ecosystem of financially included women. We'll do all of that, but first let's run off on a break. When we come back from that break, we want to see what we found in today's news. You are still watching Ways Now. The International Day of Solidarity with the Palestinian people is commemorated on November 29 each year to raise awareness of the ongoing conflict between Israel and Palestine, and to express support for the Palestinian people's right to self-determination. And this year marks the 76th anniversary of the adoption of the United Nations General Assembly Resolution 181, which called for the partition of Palestine into two independent states, one Jewish, one Arab. So, happy International Day for Solidarity. My heart goes out to the people that are at war right now.
Yeah.
Me, no matter what the situation is, like I've said before, I've said it again, I mean, violence is never the answer. If there's anything I always believe in, there's always a peaceful way to resolve issues, no matter how terrible it is.
Yeah.
So what I see most times when I see people fighting and there's war, this is just, first of all, expressions of egos, and some also sales of weapons, right? Because as there's war there, some other countries are being enriched and empowered financially because they have to supply those weapons and all of those things. So I mean, you know, it's just a sad situation. I've seen some of those videos. I try to avoid social media because of those things, because really, literally, I know social media is not like mainstream media where there are censors and all of that. You actually see very, very graphic, what's it called? It's really sad. So I just hope that peace comes to the warring parties. Hopefully, they resolve the issue. All right, so quickly, what did we find in news? Jenny, let me come to you.
Okay, so for mine, 5 loot words shut down. The beds are empty, says reps. So basically, the House of Representatives Committee on Health revealed that about 5 words and loots are currently shut down, and that's because a lot of the health personnel are leaving. So those 5 words are not operational because there's no one to take care of it. And then the worst part of it all is that on a daily basis they get an inflow of patients on a daily basis, but then there are no people. They don't have enough staff to attend to them.
Wow. This is the real direct impact of leaving the country. I know so many people that have left in the healthcare service. Before it used to be just doctors, nurses. Now you're having what's it called, healthcare workers, like the assistants, the people that are like
support
what
staff.
do they call them? Yes, I mean there's something Chinelo is trained for. I keep forgetting the name. All those people now, they're also leaving. It's just sad. Well, Angie, what did you find for us?
Well, for me, the story that caught my attention is the new wave of retail crime going on in the US. So a Chanel boutique at Fashion Valley Mall was robbed of thousands of dollars worth of merchandise by 5 people on November 3rd, and again on the 8th of November by 15 to 20 people. So there was a video there have been several videos making the rounds of this kind of retail crime happening in different areas in the US, and staff can only stand aside and make a video and call the police, but they have been advised not to confront any of them because you never know who has a weapon or your life might be in danger. So all they can do is just stand aside and watch thousands of merchandise from different designer stores get looted away by these guys. And obviously this thing is going to come back on the internet on sale and what have you. So this kind of crime is going to cost a lot of, or is currently costing a lot of fashion houses a lot of money, and even manufacturing, the manufacturing houses is putting them under pressure because
when you have already sent out the merchandise to a particular store, and then you now have to remake that within a short time, and maybe you have a whole lot. So there's going to be a ripple effect of this kind of crime on fashion houses, the manufacturing industry on its own, and the fashion industry, because a lot of design stores have been looted like this, and it's costing them millions. About, you have bags ranging between $2,000 to $5,000.
What's 2,000?
No, and this is they're just putting a range.
Yes, and this is just putting a range, because I've seen
between 5 and 10,000
several videos in what state now. Literally, right? They just go into the malls and they just, they're just packing.
Yeah, they just take the bags and hang it and take the outfits, shirts.
There's been a very high case of robbery in the US. I don't even understand why.
And they come in groups because they know that insurance will
cover them, right?
Yeah, but that's going to also have an effect on the industry itself.
Well,
this insurance money is coming from somewhere.
Well, maybe they've not been paying claims for years now, so they've not had any real reason to pay claims. I hear insurance companies, they are very, very powerful, because some people
speak on
yes, they hold their peace. All right, so I thought I saw this report and I thought it was worth mentioning, because again, several times issues around men, we kind of like gloss over it.
Yeah.
This says that the advice on non-communicable disease, injuries and healthcare, mental health for Africa, CDC, Dr. Naeem Dalal, has stressed the need to stop cultural stereotypes that prevent African men from seeking emotional and mental wellness help. He spoke with news agency of Nigeria in Lusaka, Zambia, on sideline of a parallel session on youth mental health in Africa at the International Conference on Public Health in Africa. So this conference is actually being organized by Africa Center for Disease Control and Prevention. This year it was hosted by the Zambian government, right? And I thought it was worth mentioning. A lot of men actually go through emotional hurt, emotional pain, and they are unable to speak, because again, part of all this culture that a man is supposed to take on a specific kind of masculinity. You have to brace up, you have to do this, you have to do that. So I think, again, because there's so much attention on women globally, even with funding and all of that, right? There's so much attention around women. So it's important that for every opportunity that we see, to speak to our men, it's okay to cry, it's okay to speak to someone, it's okay to be vulnerable, it's okay to be emotional. That's why you're human, you understand? So a lot of men committing suicide, it's real. People are actually just, I'm done, I've had it, and they just take their lives. We don't want to have that number increase. So let's, as much as possible, reach out to any man around you, a male child around you. Just always, embrace, make them express emotions. Maybe because me, I don't have female children, so I really have to advocate. That's true. I have to advocate for my folks, because I keep saying all the time, globally, all the funds are going, everything, women. So it seems that they're being left out. So we have to actually, and I always say this, we have to strike a balance. We can't be lopsided, because the problem that we're trying to solve that made us start focusing on women, many years down the line, we'll start to have problems again that we'll now have to start finding ways to solve and not focus on men. So if we have a balance, it will be easier to manage, everyone.
I mean, I agree with you with the balance, right? Most of the things that are happening around women right now is because women fought for it. Do you understand? And I feel like a lot more men need to come out to start coming up with these initiatives and movement to fight for men. I realize that a lot of men don't listen to what women have to say, but if a man is saying it, they listen more and they pay more attention. So if we have more men who are interested in helping the boy child or helping the male gender, then it would be nice for a lot of them to spearhead this movement. Maybe more men would open up and start talking.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. I think on that note, we'll take a break. When we come back from the break, let's discuss financial inclusion, right, for women. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
do not understand, we will stigmatize.
What you can see is the remaining of the tanker that exploded.
The suspect equally confessed.
A 500 naira they collect them. If you no talk, then go beat you. Now 2,500 they pay.
Thanks for staying with us. All right. We're going to have the conversation around women, right? So a vast majority of Nigerians struggle to make ends meet, with nearly half of the population living in extreme poverty. The unemployment rate hovers around 5.3%. That's according to the Q4 2022 and 4.1% around Q1 2023 based on the new labor force survey. Now, this situation is compounded by a glaring gender disparity and the state of financial exclusion, which stands at 36% for women and 24% for men in this is according to Athena, right? Now, this gap is significant and places Nigeria behind many of its peers in terms of economic opportunities and social mobility. Now, creating an ecosystem of financially included women is crucial to closing the gap and driving economic growth, of course, anywhere in any economy. So tonight we're asking, how can we create an ecosystem of financially included women in Nigeria? Now, please, let's hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-84663. You can also tweet at us at Way Show Africa 1 with the hashtag Way Show. All right, so I want to hear your thoughts, Jennifer and NJ. Should we just bring in our guest? What do you think we can do to help more women become a lot more financially included when it comes to things around finances and our economy?
I think a major thing would be to improve the knowledge and awareness in terms of telling people that information, going out there to tell people, okay, in this situation, this is what you can do. These are the options available to you. I think that helps a lot, and just improving on the education of it.
Okay. How are you, Jenny?
I was actually going to talk about the education as well, because I think what's lacking right now is education. Letting people know more about their finances, right? Where you can invest, what you can do with money, and being open to talk about money. I found out that a lot of people shy away when it comes to money conversations, right? Even human beings in general, not just women. once you start talking about money, it's like a big issue, and you find out that there are people who just spend their money anyhow, and they really do not know where to channel their income into. All they know is spend, or you just leave it in your savings account and then that's it, right? So when there are platforms where you start to educate more people about this, then you have more financially included women.
Okay, so Chinasa Collins Ogo is the Advocacy and Communications Lead at EFINA, that's Enhancing Financial Innovation and Access, a financial sector development organization in Nigeria. She heads the Inclusion for All initiative, which serves as EFINA's advocacy unit with a core mandate to develop and implement evidence-based advocacy campaigns informed by data to advocate for the removal of multifaceted barriers that keep Nigeria's poor and vulnerable populations formerly excluded. And she's a very, very pioneer member of WAYS, might I add that? And we're happy to have Chinasa back. Hi, Nasa.
Hi, Uwa.
First of all, you look gorgeous, by the way.
Thank you.
Always,
Thank you.
you know.
My face. What am I looking at?
Nasa, I mean, this conversation we've held it off for 5 weeks.
I know.
Because you were waiting for data.
I was waiting for
Yeah, yeah, because it's important that it's backed.
Yeah.
We're not just having a conversation, but it's important that it's backed. Do we truly have a problem when it comes to financial inclusion for women? Is it a big problem in Nigeria based on the findings?
The answer to that question is yes, it's a big problem. But I think that a good place to start is to define what financial inclusion is. If I asked you, in fact, let me start. What is financial inclusion to you? What would you define it as? What's your understanding?
Well, my understanding is that you have bank accounts, you can transact business, you can actually use the services of financial institutions. That's my understanding. I don't know if it's correct.
No, it's not incorrect at all. And to be honest with you, that's what a lot of people understand it as, and it is part of it. But I think to give a more holistic definition, which is, and I'll say it in a Nigerian context, based on what the National Financial Inclusion Strategy has defined it as by the CBN, it's when all adult Nigerians above the age of 18 have easy access to a broad range of financial services that meets their needs at an affordable cost. So the key elements there is easy access, a broad range of financial services that meets their needs, and then it's at an affordable cost. And this definition basically highlights the multiple barriers that actually present when it comes to inclusion. And it also means that a lot of different actors need to come to the table to solve the problem. And why are we going to have a conversation about women? It's because when you look at the data, and talking about why I was waiting for data, and I don't have recent data, the data I was waiting for, you have to wait till the 13th of December to get that data. But the Access to Finance Survey data in 2020 showed that of the 38 million excluded populations, and excluded just means that they don't have any form of financial service experience, formal and informal, 56% of that population were women.
Whoa, that's
which
a
is why.
huge
So
number.
you see, so let's even say that this is why this conversation is important. It's not because we're emotional women and we're not feminists trying to fight for women's rights. There's data to back it up. And then if you start to even try to understand what those issues are, what is it that keeps these women excluded, I would start from, first of all, who are these women? The most excluded women are likely to be women that live in rural communities, who engage in farming activities or petty trading activities, and they're young and they're uneducated, right? So when you understand that, you can start to think of, okay, how do we want to solve for their problems? What kind of issues or barriers are they faced with? So let me stop there as context, and then you can come up with the questions.
No, I mean, you were just going well because a lot of people would wonder truly why are we focusing on women, but 56% or what do you call I mean, it's a huge number, given that, again, when it comes to issues around what would I call it now, organization and structuring of for instance, maybe the activities of the families and the homes, and mostly women are. I mean, I got a call about, was it 2 days ago? Someone really dear to me was complaining and saying, oh, she needed to, because she was done, she was tired. Definitely, I mean,
basically every burden that has to do with raising the children, their schools and all of those things, everything is on her, right? So I would understand, because a woman cannot just outrightly just look away. You know, it's very rare cases you see women look away when it comes to issues around maybe raising the children, taking them to school and all of those things. So that's why, you know, when it comes to financial empowerment, or we call it inclusion or whatever, it's important that, you know, that population is actually catered to.
Absolutely.
Right, yeah. But really, NASA, in Nigeria, right, to some extent, I think we're doing okay, because again, with some of these financial services, financial companies, they've actually kind of like, you see some of the things you talked about, barriers and all of that, they've kind of like broken down some of these barriers. Like, it's easy now. I don't want to call brand names, but it's easy with certain kinds of, like, literally now there's no bike man or petty trader that does not have a particular account, one bank like that, you know. So I mean, those things have been broken down. So why is it still difficult for these women to be able to just access those already created platforms?
So, you know, and you're right, they're different segments, right? So the people that you're talking about are already probably included, they're banked. And what you're trying to do is then deepen their financial inclusion, which is just, you know, from the definition, have access to a broad range of financial services products. So beyond savings accounts, beyond your transactional accounts and payments, more complex financial products for like investments, etc., that would help you grow your wealth. But then if you're also looking at the population that need it the most, and the work that we do at FNI is to focus on those groups in the rural communities that have no clue. So when you talk about the bike man that has access, he's in the urban community, so he has access. But then if you go to the rural communities, one of the key barriers is proximity to these financial service providers. Yes, the advent and evolution of mobile agents has improved that from when financial inclusion started, because I mean, this whole issue of financial inclusion, I remember when I was working in the bank, it was about 2009, and if I talked to anybody about financial inclusion, it just sounded like all this fancy talk and nobody understood it. Even at the time, from a regulatory standpoint, CBN wasn't really focusing on it, and so developing products for those groups was difficult because they didn't understand the segment that we're trying to bank. So we have come a long way, and with the A2F survey, what you find is there's incremental growth, but not in the at the rates that we want, right? So as at 2012, when the first financial inclusion strategy was developed, the goal was to have 80% inclusion by 2020. You stated it earlier, we're still about 64%. So it means that there's some progress, but we're still not where we want to be. There's still a large population of excluded, people, right? So to you, and I think I've lost my train of thoughts, but just going back to women and these groups of people that I talk about and why they can't, it's just because the people that we are focusing on don't have that access. So we have to solve for that problem. We have to understand their barriers and try to then create solutions in a way that is cost effective. Because one of the reasons that banks are not in rural communities is because it doesn't make economic sense for them to be there. So how do we bring banking closer to them in a cost-effective manner? Also understanding their own challenges in terms of level. You talked about education, level of education. So a key barrier is these women are poorly educated. So even if, right, they're trying to open a bank account, they don't even have that skill and knowledge to be able to manage their finances. So financial literacy is a very big piece of trying to solve the problem. There's also the socio-cultural norms, the gender norms that we all know about. There's a north-south divide. In the north, you find that the patriarchal norms is very strong and prevents women. In the south, they're a little bit more independent, right? But then there's also the issue that I'm very passionate about, which is what Inclusion for All campaign has been about, access to ID. 73% of the people that didn't have bank accounts was because they didn't have the documentation. And one of the documentation requirements is ID beyond proof of address. And so when we look at that, it's again likely to be women. They're mostly women that don't have the required ID. Then we're doing this campaign on ID ownership, and even for the NIN enrollments that you're all aware of, if you look at as at 2023 August, there was 44% only 44% of women were enrolled for NIM. So it's always women, and then the question you want to ask is why women? Because from a financial inclusion perspective, from an ID enrollment perspective, it's women that are excluded, and it's all those barriers such as the education, the social, cultural, and gender norms that prevents them from going out. The lack of ID access to those providers.
Education, yeah.
So as a woman, especially in those rural communities, even in the urban communities, right? A woman engages in a range of activities to keep her home, to maintain the household. And so you see them focusing, and this is from our own deep dive study following analysis of Finance 2020 data that showed that women are resilient, they're very hardworking, they're enterprising, engage in multiple activities. So you'd assume that if you're engaging in multiple activities, automatically you should have more money, but it's not the case. They're engaging in multiple activities to earn an income that allows them to maintain their household. So on average, these women that were sampled and surveyed, they were earning less than 20,000 naira a month. And they're doing petty trading, farming, and even producing. And there's also a mindset issue around it, which is around the agency. They just feel like my role is to do all of this, to protect the home, to keep the children. And so I'm not even thinking bigger than what I can do, right? So I'm just limited in my mindset, which is where education comes in as well, and just that exposure to
okay, you know what? Let's go on a very short break, right? Sure. When we come back from that break, we'll continue the conversation with NASA. Stay with us, we'll be right back. Enjoying the conversation, send us an SMS or WhatsApp to the 803-4663. So I'll let the ladies come in. Jenny, baby.
Yeah, so we know everything has gone digital these days, and one thing I believe is, even with technology, right, like you mentioned, in the rural areas where you have those women that are struggling to even make ends meet, and a lot of them really do not want to interact with technology, and that's because some of these apps or softwares or technology they are bringing their way are quite difficult for them to understand or even use, right? Now, we want them to be financially included, but it's like a Herculean task for them. It's like asking a lot from these people. So basically my question would be, how can technology still be leveraged to create user-friendly tools to make it easier for these people? I mean, it's a lot of groundwork if you have to do education, and that means people need to go to markets. You need to go to these places. You need to create like a forum, and it's not a one-day thing. It's something that you have to consistently do, and you have to also be very persistent. You have to keep going back. You have to keep motivating and encouraging them. But I mean, aside that, what else can be done to help them, basically?
Sadly, I'm not sure that anything else can be done, because, to be honest, technology is the answer.
Yeah.
And I say technology is the answer in the sense that our advocacy is, how do we broaden and deepen financial inclusion? And it's through digital financial services. And I hear you. It's that challenge, the demand side challenge of even them understanding, and this is a conversation I had earlier today about digital literacy gaps and trying to transition from manual processes to digital processes.
Yeah.
But I think it's just having to make the right investments. The problem is the problem, and the solution is as effective as how much time and resources we're willing to invest. And so digital financial services technology is the answer. What do these people then need to do to ensure that the adoption is increased is to invest time and resources in training those people, educating them. And I'll give you an example, because the conversation I was having earlier today is Kaduna is a fantastic case study of financial inclusion, and they're very deliberate with trying to make sure that the excluded populations and vulnerable groups are included, especially women. And one of the things that they did was the cash transfer program, the national one, was digitized. They had to move from a manual process of where they give cash on tables to a digital process, which meant that the women had to have like a wallet of sorts and have ID, which was also digital in terms of the resident ID. And one of the questions I asked was there a digital literacy gap, and how did you solve for that? and this was on the back of COVID and everybody realizing that, for social protection, we're only able to address and mitigate these shocks if people are identifiable and we can actually reach them, digitally, not the manual process. And she said, well, that was a huge problem. It's a gap, so we're not running away from it. But then we also realized that we're not going to remain at the same spot. We have to move. So what do? Make the right investments, work with them, educate them, invest in that digital literacy and upskilling them. Thankfully, there are lots of donor organizations that would also partner. I know World Bank was doing something on digital upskilling across different states in Nigeria. So it's a real issue. Yeah. And because technology is the answer, that's some investment that states and groups have to make sure that they can benefit from that digital transformation.
So before MJ comes in, because I was just thinking, still staying with technology things, right? Sure. It requires maybe networks, and because do you know what I'm saying? So how would the input of probably state governments, federal government come into play, when it comes to this financial inclusion drive? Because again, if you really want to leverage on technology, which I think is the quickest way to solve some of these problems, you still need technology to get to these rural communities. So how do we then tie that, that gap from a government standpoint or policy standpoint?
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. If the infrastructure doesn't exist to enable it, then it's dead on arrival. And the role of government is to ensure that, in designing policies, you're designing with the groups that need it. In fact, the lowest of the groups in mind, so the poorest in mind. Yeah. When you design for the poorest in mind, then you've designed for everybody. So you design something very simple for a poor person to use, where you can use it, can use it juicy. And so in the past, I think a lot of things that have happened was just assuming that the universe is Lagos and the big cities, and you don't think of the rural communities, understanding their nuances and challenges. And then you develop a policy, and it's like, we're trying to do this, and steps in the right direction, very progressive. But then we have these barriers because we haven't taken in the challenges these people are faced with. And they can be very, very granular, some of these things. Something as simple as, for instance, when NIMSI was doing the NIN, we go back to the drawing board. Maybe if they had done proper consultations within those communities without assuming that something that works in Lagos would work if we had designed for those people, it would work in Lagos, it would work everywhere else, and wouldn't have a challenge. So it's those sort of considerations, in designing policies.
Their palms have gone through hard labor.
Exactly.
But the machine cannot read it.
Before NJ comes in, there's something I really want to know, right? One thing I've noticed is there are lots of brands and companies who really want to go out there and help people, right? So be financially literate and stuff like that. But one thing I've also noticed is, like you said, a lot of them went in with an assumption in mind, this is what they need. But then there's something called pain points, but then you can only get a pain point from the customer's perspective. What has been maybe the top 5 major challenges for these people? Even with the introduction of technology and with the whole education or awareness that is currently ongoing.
Challenges for who now? The service providers?
Not the service providers, the people who need help.
Okay, so I can, off the top of my head, one of the barriers or issues or challenges is accessibility, proximity to the service providing solutions, or the banks, right? There's also, like I mentioned earlier, and it cuts across board, their cultural or religious norms, their whatever it is that they believe in within their society that prevents them, lack of education, lack of ID, and lack of income, because the people that experience are poor people. So first of all, if I don't have an income, what am I even saving? Why are you telling me to save? Save what exactly? Do you see? So some people argue that this financial inclusion conversation is dead on arrival because people who you're trying to include don't have money. But then if we don't talk about what they need to do to make sure that their wealth grows, then we're just going to be at the same point. And then we can start to talk about economic empowerment alongside that as well. But then I don't believe that it's a conversation that's dead on arrival. I think that everybody just needs to play that. We can't solve all the problems. Different people need to come together. It's as they say, hydra-headed issue. And as I mentioned earlier, it's multifaceted. So there are different parts of it to be solved.
Okay. My question, since there has been a lot of, you've answered basically a lot of questions, but I think my question would be how do we move forward? How do we cleanse the NGOs? Absolutely. And then also like all the way down to like community leaders and traditional rulers within those environments, because those are the communities that need the most help. Yeah. So what are the responsibilities? Yes, what are the responsibilities for all these different agencies and what have you in helping to enable the environment?
Thank you. So, as you mentioned, the different actors, right? And different actors understand what their objectives are, what their interests are, what their core mandate is, and in fact, even the resources that they have available to them. And the way I like to dimension this is, first of all, is to know what your role is and what the need is. And the way to do that is data. We need to, first of all, understand what the problem is, using data to then decide, okay, this is where there's an issue. This is my own role within the ecosystem. And so what can I do to solve this problem? If you look at it from a policy standpoint, okay, and you break the access to finance data, tells you a host of different things. It gives you a lot of insights. And it's for different actors to leverage and solve for the ones that concern them. But then we all have to come together collectively to solve those problems. So if, for instance, from the survey, you find that it's a lack of understanding of financial products or something that basically helps you decide that, okay, the product that we actually developed doesn't seem to be addressing this need, then we need to develop differently, or even use this preliminary data insights to then do a deep dive to better inform how we're designing this product or a policy or regulation. And okay, this is what we're finding with this policy that we've designed. These are the blocks, or do we need to revise the policy completely or adjust it or enhance it? I think that, so the simple answer to that is data first. First, get the data, know what the problems are, identify the gaps and the issues, and then understand what your role is, what you're trying to do, and where you fit into.
So we've been focusing on women in the rural areas, right? People who don't really have that I care about. Not and Jenny. I mean, I get it, but yeah. So I also see financial inclusion in the sense that I think there's the angle of people who really do not know how to manage their money. Absolutely. Right? And I know that there are some brands, I wouldn't mention names, who are trying to educate people around this. And I'm saying this because I've spoken to quite a number of women, and honestly, they like you said, they don't exactly dream big or see the future when it comes to growing their wealth. So a lot of them is just, you know what, in this instance, what I'm going to use the money for right now. But then there is no future plan or projection. So basically, my question is, how do we ensure that financial products within the ecosystem are designed to meet the life cycle of every woman, right, from early stage to retirement?
So before I answer that question, when Uwa was talking about how, you know, she hears that women are better managers of finance, and she doesn't believe she is, I beg to differ. Let me tell you, I think what they mean by women are better managers, it goes back to the role of a woman in terms of looking after the household. You know you have children, GC, they have to go to school. Yeah. I know that if you had money, the first thing you do, and I think it's sort of fundamental of basic financial planning. You know that you have to put money aside for your child's education. You know they need to eat, so you're going to put money in one bucket so that you can buy food. You know you need to do so. You prioritize, right? You're not going to go and buy a bag. Do you understand? So, and I think it's especially for women, I guess, if you have children and have those kind of responsibilities, it's a different case entirely if you're a single woman. And then you can start to highlight your financial incapabilities, if you like. So, yes, women are better managers of finance from that perspective. Now, to speak to the women who are already included and still don't have that financial sort of literacy or capability in terms of control and management of their funds, it still goes back to that piece of financial literacy, and which is why the definition of the financial inclusion is all adults, you know, have access to a broad range of services. To be honest with you, vast majority, even in the urban locations, have access to not a broad range. I can speak, maybe 4 out of 5 of us no, that's even a lot. Maybe only 2 or 5 of us have investments. Everybody just has a savings account. And it's all very transactional.
Yeah, transactional.
And so, yes, there's a big piece that requires financial literacy, financial education. It's working with, even I recently was talking to somebody that, I need a financial planner, and you would think, right, that I should know. But I'm talking about, people that don't even have access to anything at all. But yes, that's definitely something that needs to be looked into, and it's financial literacy, to be honest. It's just finding those people that can help.
So I think even myself, because me, I don't know how to throw other people under the bus. I think I've just come to the realization that, come next year, so we built, now we have, so it's time to then invest, right? Then expand your investments as well. Because I realized that most of the time, that's why I say I don't consider myself as a good manager of resources. Most of the time, if there's something, I just pour everything I have into it. I'm not thinking, what if, like a safety net or something. I don't do all of that.
No, but if you put some money aside for the children's education.
Yeah.
You put,
well, I'm talking about
that's financial planning.
I think she's talking about if
you come now, if you come and kidnap me now, there won't be some money.
I mean, I think for me, I remember there was a time I was thinking, I think I need a financial advisor. That's because, so I'm very big on investments, right? But I feel like I've gotten to a point where, okay, what's next, right? I need someone to at least tell me
how to
allocate direction. It's like I have investment in different places. I've invested in real estate, in different things, basically. But then it's like,
that only becomes the point where you have a lot of money. If you don't have money, you're not really thinking of it.
No, it's not.
You are, because no matter how small, like I agree with Jennifer. I invest a bit, and I've gotten bonds like a couple of times. Like my sister will tell me this, I will invest in it, and then it doesn't work out. And each time, you just have to invest. Like, you would want to invest because you want to, one, have an investment, and then two, you want to be able to grow your money. So it's normal for you to want to take those risks, and you have to, because you can, even if it works out for someone else, you wouldn't know if it will work out for you.
I think you're on the right path. The fact that you're thinking about this and talking about it, a lot of people don't even know. Problem.
So if you had a minute, right, to just paint us a picture, if we are able to solve this problem of financial inclusion, especially for the rural women, what would that mean for the economy? How would that look like? What would it be?
Well, first of all, we would have a significantly reduced informal sector, which is very important for economic growth. We would have more resilient households. If there are women that are empowered financially and economically included and looking after the home front, when there's another COVID, we're sure that those households are sort of protected somewhat from those shocks. And then there's just that general perception of belief, and as Kofi Annan says, when women thrive, all of society benefits from it, and that's the truth. We see it across from even our studies that women always just look after the entire home, and the rest of society benefits because they're the ones making sure that children go to school, the house is put in order, and all of that. So yes.
Okay. On that note, I think we've had a fantastic conversation. Thank you so much, Nasser.
One more thing.
Yes, please.
The data that I was talking about, we will be launching on the 13th of December. So if you're interested, you guys come. It's interesting, and I think that everybody's been waiting for this, because a lot of times people just think, you're talking fancy stuff. But then when you hear the numbers, and then you start to hear stories of real people that are affected, then you can start to see how you fit into this solution, how you can provide a solution. It affects everybody. It's a multifaceted.
So is it going to be virtual launch or is it physical?
And physical. Physical at Eco Hotels and Suites, Grand Ballroom. Yes, 9 a.m.
So we're invited, Abby. 15th of
13th.
Oh, 13th of December.
Yes, don't get to the 15th.
But I think we'll try to, because it's also important for us to be part of it. And we're happy to have you back. I mean, when the data is launched, so we can also then discuss. Because again, for us, it's important that we keep these conversations burning on the table. But thank you so much, Nasa.
Thank you, ladies.
Ways we will be 4 years in February. On Friday, 1st of December.
Pioneer.
Okay, Pioneer member. I might not be here, but they will be here. Jenny, baby, and I work. No, I know this. Wow.
Before we go,
I've announced it. In case people don't see me for
till 2024. I love you guys. Before we go, ensure you follow us across all social media handles at Wayshow Africa. You can interact with us further, drop a comment, and most importantly, follow all. I will see you people maybe in 2024, but they will see you people tomorrow at 8 p.m. as they bring another great conversation to your school. Let me just tell them now, so in case they don't see me.
Increase the reach of your events or business services. To advertise on Plus TV Africa, please call 0906 000 5719 or 0909 040 8408 or send an email to marketing@plustvafrica.com. Plus TV Africa. Big stories live here. Increase the reach of your events or business services. To advertise on Plus TV Africa, please call 0906 000
Hello and welcome to One on One. My name is Fumi Onajefe, and today we'll be talking about road safety in Nigeria. My guest is Assistant Corps Commander Sani Abdullahi. He's the unit commander for Lekki Command of the Federal Road Safety Corps. He has an MSc in Defense and Strategic Studies from the Nigerian Defense Academy, Kaduna, and BSc in Political Science from the University of Abuja. He has experience in the FRC. He has served in various positions in the Corps, including Staff Officer Operations, Head of Protocol Unit at Kaduna State Sector Command, and Media Assistant to Corps Marshal. He has been the Unit Commander for the Lekki Unit Command since August 2021. Welcome with me. Good day, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for making our time to join us today.
I appreciate the platform.
Okay, so let's talk about your growing up. What was growing up like for you, sir?
Oh, God. Thank you very much. I happened to be born in Ajobe.
Okay.
That is somewhere in Ankpa local government area of Kogi State.
Okay.
In the 60s. I'm a grandfather now.
Oh, congratulations. Yeah. That's nice.
And as it was at that time, a child growing up was, first of all, a Muslim child.
Yeah.
First of all, start with Quranic school.
Okay.
I completed my Quranic school, and as I was completing it, I started primary school.
Oh, okay.
Ending my primary school, I went to Tenka School. From Tenka School, knowing that I didn't have so much play with tools and working with electrical instrument that I read. I had to go and do my external GCE, which I passed.
Yeah, okay.
After which I went to University of Ibadan Adult Education Center, got my advanced level GCE. From then I proceeded to the University of Abuja. After which I joined FRSC, and all the long, here we are today.
Okay, interesting. Yeah. Thank you very much for that. Yes. So let's talk about, so every time Road Safety Corps or, policeman or even LASMA, but usually it's the Road Safety Corps members that check my car. So I have a fire extinguisher, I have a C caution. Well, they usually let me go when they just check my papers, really. But I just wanted to find out, is there any other thing, even if the road safety corps member is not checking for it in your car, what are the essentials that a car owner should have, whether a commercial bus driver or a private car owner? What should they have?
Thank you for that experience. The idea of we now delving into checking those things because of the consequences of not having them. They look basic, but definitely they are very, very important.
Okay.
So even if it's not for checking, in your own interest, in your own safety interest, you should have those basic things. For instance, when they check something like fire extinguisher, it looks, many people forget that fire extinguisher is as important to you as the vehicle you are driving. Because in the event of any fire accident, that 10,000, 5,000 naira fire extinguisher could save the whole of your millions of naira vehicle.
Okay.
People misunderstand it. The triangular warning sign, the C caution.
Yes.
Yes, as minor as it is, as minor as people take it to, you discover that if your vehicle breaks down suddenly on the road, you cannot move away from the road. You have to walk on it there, put it at the back, where people that are coming will be warned that a stationary vehicle is in front. And anybody who did not observe that and still run into you cannot say that person is guilty of not being diligent. You understand?
Yeah.
And you look at issues of a light sign violation, like your trafficator, your full headlamp, your brake lights. These are things people take for granted. They believe that they don't need it. But we also know that these are minor things that people overlook, but are very important. So when they check all these things, and they also come to the issue of, let me look at your extra tire.
Okay.
Yes, you will think that you are safe when your tires are functional, you are moving, but not knowing that in the event of that tire, getting punctured, you need another one, which you may not get. And the place this happen may not be the place where you can keep the vehicle. Go and look for the tire to be the one that.
So how often? So if I buy a fire extinguisher, how regularly should I, change it? Does it expire? So is it until I use it, or it's just there in my car?
It expires, and the expiring days are there.
Okay.
So if you have fire extinguisher, many people we have seen, majority of them don't even know how to operate it. But it's not something you need to go to school to do. Or read the instructions. They are normally put there. And you may buy it just like tire too. Tires are like drugs. They also expire.
Okay.
Many people don't know that the tire you are using also have expiring date. They are there. But many people don't look at them. Therefore, they just believe that they bought new tires. But those new tires have expiring date that might have even expired. You understand? Just like a fire extinguisher too. The fire extinguisher you buy now may look new, or you might have bought it brand new, but it's expired. Therefore, it's still not serve the purpose of which you have bought it.
Okay. Yes. So let's talk about education from the FRC to especially commercial drivers.
Yes.
Do you go to their moving at a very slow pace?
Yeah.
So I wanted to find out, beyond just arresting them on the highway, do you go to their motor parks to educate them, to talk with them?
Every morning, from units to the sector, every operational base of the corps, you must go to garages.
Okay.
Talk to the driver even before they set out for their daily activities. Talk to them on the need, first of all, to make sure they check the basic items, tire, water in their vehicles, the wiper, and other basic things. And the need for them not to do some certain, engage in some certain traffic violations, like you have mentioned, overloading. The consequences of overloading the vehicle. Because when you overload the vehicle, you are not only overburdening the vehicle, you are creating the opportunity for you not to maneuver in the event of any incident. Because you are reducing the lifespan of that vehicle through constant overloading. So we put all these information to them. Though we may not reach everyone every day, but as much as possible, we use all platforms. Media organize motopark rallies, and in fact, as we are going to the Ember Month now, you are going to be seeing the FRSC flagging off the campaign through motopark rallies.
Okay.
Motopark rally is one of our daily assignments, or common assignment that we carry out as a way of enlightening, updating, and educating the drivers on what to do and what not to do to avert road traffic crisis.
So now I am interested in those motorpark rallies that you talk about.
Yes.
What about the trailer parks? Because everybody in Nigeria knows how, and you are the FRC official who will have all the rates and
yes.
How often trucks that carry containers,
yes.
the heavy duty vehicles,
yes.
how often they have their accidents,
yes.
for the minutest of things. Sometimes it's as bad as a friend of mine, her car was, thank God she had insurance
yes.
for one of those heavy duty vehicles, and his brake was bad.
Yes.
And he would just say, Madam, I beg, no vex, my brake no catch. And I'm
Yes.
like, I don't understand.
Exactly.
So if you go to the trailer parks and you go to the motor parks and you have all those rallies, how come with this incidents are still on the increase?
Yeah, it's unfortunate. We are living in a third world country where safety is always put at the back end. We don't take it to the front end. And it's part of the challenges that FRSC has to face. Before the establishment of the Corps in 1988, Nigeria was rated as one of the worst nation to drive motor vehicle on. And coming from that, you will see situations whereby when road traffic crises happen, Nigerians believe that it is an act of God or evil spirits. Fatalistic belief that don't attribute those causes to factors that scientifically are known. So we have to battle with that to create the impression that road traffic crises don't just happen. They are caused. And they are caused by factors that we know. And if we play by the rules, if we abide by those rules, we have confidence and trust that accidents will not happen. And even if they happen, they will not lead to death or fatal injuries the way we are seeing it. This has been the center point of our campaign all along. We are not getting over yet. We specifically look at the menace of vehicles falling. Let's say tankers falling, and articulated vehicle not properly hooked, also falling and causing hazards. We have had cause to engage in aggressive education, enlightenment, and enforcement. Part of which was even the issue of the minimum safety standards that vehicles, articulated vehicles, will meet up before they can be said to be operating on the road.
So what are the minimum safety standards that these vehicles should meet up?
These are one of them, as I speak to you now.
Yes.
We have those that load, because when cases of petrol tankers falling became too much, FRSC has to go into the questions of safe to load. That is physically deploying our men who stay at those depot and ensuring that whichever vehicle that will be made to load must have some basic things like the brake you are talking about.
Yes.
The brake must be functional. The lighting system must be there. The tires, and the driver himself must also have evidence.
But how do you ensure, for example, so it's one thing that your official is there.
Yeah.
So what if he flags the vehicle and says this vehicle cannot go, but they still go ahead and get on the road?
No, because we are there in cooperation with the management of those depots. Therefore, whichever vehicle we identify not fit to load cannot load.
So what happens when this vehicle, so what about vehicles that now have accidents? Do they go back and trace it maybe to your FRC officials? Because we are in Nigeria,
Yes.
and sometimes officials can get compromised.
It's possible that, when we talk about accident, if it
Yes.
is a real accident have dimensions.
Yes.
It's possible that what has happened was something that was unavoidable. But if it's something that was a result of somebody's negligence,
yes,
it can also be traced. And I think we don't have such cases of a vehicle certified to have been safe to load it and went to have. But of course, there are other places or areas probably which we have not covered and which those people could get all those items, and it could happen that way.
All right.
But definitely to cover the major ones that are engaged in this, we'll make sure that our men are there. And so far, that is why you are able to see reduce cases the way you are seeing now.
Okay.
If not, in 4 or 5 years back, you know how it was in this country, where you're hearing of it happening here, it's happening the second day, and so on.
Okay.
It's a continuous effort.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll take a quick break. When we come back from the break, we'll be looking at, December, the festive season is upon us, so we're just going to be looking at, all the safety measures we all need to take, especially with commercial vehicle drivers. Please stay with us. We'll be right back.
So what are the top decisions that the United States considers necessary that Nigeria must take? I like to think of my interactions as conversations, not interviews. And that's why I say asking questions is both an art and a science. Everyone says in Islam you are allowed to have 4 wives. Is it mandatory? The right question enables answers that educate, inform, clarify, and help you, the viewer, to better understand the issue before making up your mind.
Our goal is to reduce from 10 to 2 days the time it takes to register businesses in Nigeria.
Join me every week on this station, Plus TV Africa, and gain exclusive access to my conversations. I'm Angela Ajetumobi.
Thank you for staying with us. This is One and One. If you're just tuning in, my name is Fumio Ajefe, and I have an FRC official with me today. So let's talk about now the festive season is, we call it Ember months in Nigeria. Yes. September, October, November, and then December, the mother of all festivities in Nigeria. So how is the FRC preparing for this? And let's first of all talk in line with commercial drivers. We'll start with Lagos, for example, where we have the yellow buses. And we know that for anyone who has ever entered a yellow bus in Lagos, that seat belt doesn't really fasten. It's only most times when they see the FRC officials or last mile officials that they quickly just, put it on. So we're talking about going to their motor parks to educate them, but consistently, this young man, I know there was a time not so long ago, the sale of alcohol was banned in the motor parks. So what is the FRC doing about commercial drivers and safety of passengers?
Thank you. It's an issue in Nigeria where people maybe get up in the morning or they didn't sleep well, they want to artificially enhance their energy going through alcoholic or drug intake to keep them awake, and thereby making them to engage in acts that are hazardous to their life and the life of others. Like you mentioned earlier, that is why, in collaboration with relevant agencies, the sale of alcohol and some drugs within the parks were banned, so that at least the access to them could be restricted, and so that we can also be sure that whoever that is driving vehicle the benefit or adherence to the requirement for seat belts is the way it is in Africa or in the kind of society we live in, where education is very limited. I know when we started the campaign for seat belts, which is not even too long, majority of the people don't even know what the seat belt is all about.
Yes.
And they have never used it. They don't even know how it is. We even have to struggle with teaching people how since they started using it, we are seeing increased level of compliance. There are still some people that have still not keyed into it, but definitely improvements are obvious. That people these days now know that it is in their interest that when they are seated in the vehicle, either in the front or at the back, the hand seatbelt, because of the safety aspect of it, because of what the safety benefit of using seatbelt. We have said it before, that overloading your vehicle, you are not helping yourself. And it is most common during this Ember month, during this Savior period where many passengers are available, and the driver want to maximize the profit, the benefit by trying not only to overload, but also to overspeed, to speed to a level where they will go and come back and go and come back as many times as possible, so that they can drive. And the consequence of it is accident, crashes that could lead to death or fatal injuries, and ending people's lives in a manner that could be avoided.
Okay, let's talk about the fact that there's a time that the FRC, the federal government, your organization wanted your officers to carry firearms. At that point in time, how far has this gone? Because many people, even I kicked against it. I'm like, already with the policemen, we have so many issues. And then FRC officials, you have also seen videos of where some of times, and I understand sometimes it can be frustrating. You're correcting, a motorist or a passenger and they're misbehaving. You get emotional. You're jumping on their vehicle. So what happens when you now have a firearm? You shoot the person down. So how far with that? Has it been put down, or you're still carrying on to having firearms?
Okay, I think your opinion, people with this kind of opinion, is why FRSA management has not been too aggressive in pushing for that arms, because immediately, in fact, majority of us have gone for the training.
But why? I wanted to find out, why do you need firearms?
No, we too, we are also vulnerable to violent attacks from not drivers or motorists, but also from armed people who may want to attack us, or violent people who come with arms, and will become defenseless. We know over the years that the law that established the core made provision for FRSC personnel to bear arms. But the fact that we have been able to enforce this law consistently for over 30 something years without that arms, anytime we stress the need for us, based on the experience our men have on the road to just armed attacks, the public opinion will want to say, no, we don't need FRSC to, and that's why government has been very, very reluctant. Outside that violent attack that our men are subjected to sometimes, and invading our offices where we become defenseless, we have been successful in using civil means to really enforce traffic rules in Nigeria. And even this debate came during the last National Constituent Assembly, during one of the assemblies, where one of the members was asking the Corps Marshal then, that is there any nation that you can recall that can enforce law without arms? And you really may not have that examples. You understand? But we, in our own case, we have been very, very successful in enforcing laws without recourse to arms, to use of arms. And that is a very good example that Nigeria is having. Despite the violent nature of the environment and the people, with whom we have to enforce this law, at least we have been successful in enforcing the law without recourse to the use of arms.
All right, fantastic. We just have a few more minutes to wrap up. I just want you to give a message to the motorists on the road. What are the things that what are the things or one thing they need to know to ensure their safety on the road?
Thank you very much. First of all, when you operate with the cautiousness that your families are waiting for you, you will not even need a law enforcement officer to restrain you from speeding, to make sure that you check your vehicle well before you enter it, and that as you are driving, you are not driving alone, you are driving and sharing the road with other road users, and that your action or the action or inaction of others, your lives will not depend on source, that you have responsibility to be defensive in driving, and making sure that you don't overload your vehicle, you don't overspeed, your lighting system are functional, your tires are properly inflated, not over, not under, and that you are not under the influence of any drug or alcohol, and that you can see and be seen, and that your judgment may not lead to anything happening to you. When you are operating like this, even if we cannot prevent accident from happening, we have the assurance that even if they happen, they may not lead to fatal death or fatal injury. These are the realities with life, that accidents don't just happen. They are caused and they can be avoided.
Okay.
Yes.
So I just wanted to find out from you, what about your erring officers in FRC? How do you ensure that the officers, under your command are doing their job, they're not compromised, and and when they do fall out of line, they're punished, and when they also do very well, they're rewarded.
Thank you. In fact, FRSC is one organization that you can say have the strictest type of guidelines on monitoring their officers. We are people that, we are an organization that is dependent on civility as our principle. Even as the law trusts us with enforcement, they also trust us with attending to crash victims. We are blending regimentation with civility, and that is a peculiarity that is not too common. That as you are seeing me in uniform now, people see us as enforcers. We are also first aiders. You understand?
Yes.
That creates that personality that a nation must trust, and therefore we cannot afford a situation where our officer and men will betray that trust. That is why constantly they are under surveillance. Surveillance to make sure that whatever they do conform with the operational guideline. Under the surveillance, that they don't intimidate, they don't harass the people they accost in the course of doing their work. And two, that whenever there are cases of corruption, like taking bribe, well, no nation or no institution is able to say we are 100% pure. But in the case of FRSC, since we don't have a return system whereby people go to the road and do something and return to the command officer, they know that if you are involved, if you are caught, either by the command officer himself or outside surveillance, you are on your own. With that institutional support for corruption or corrupt practices does not exist in FRSC. And that has been our focus. And that is where we are.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Interesting. Yeah. Thank you very much for your time. We'll be reaching out to you more often, talk about this, especially now, like we're going into September, October. We'll be, calling on you. And then please let us know about, your road rallies, multi-park rallies to see, how we can also work with you so we can also enlighten people as well about this.
Right.
All right.
I assure you that whenever we are going to launch our coming number one at my own units.
Okay, please let us know.
Also give you,
Plus TV Africa would like to be a part of that. All right, thank you very much for taking out your time to watch and enjoy the show. I'm so sure you have learned some things from it today. Stay with us again and we'll be on your screen next week. My name is Fumino Ajefe.
Increase the reach of your events or business services. To advertise on Plus TV Africa, please call 0906 000 5719 or 0909 040 8408, or send an email to marketing@plustvafrica.com. Plus TV Africa. Big stories live here.
This is it for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Vicky November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
On Plus TV News Now tonight, Tinubu presents 27.5 trillion naira 2024 budget of renewed hope as PDP condemns rendition of Tinubu's campaign tune. Tinubu departs Abuja for COP28 climate summit in Dubai. One killed in fresh Kano protest over appeal court verdict. President Bola Tinubu presented a budget estimate of 27.50 trillion naira for the 2024 fiscal year based on a crude oil benchmark price of $77.96 per barrel, daily oil production of 1.78 million barrels per day, and an exchange rate of 750 naira to the dollar. The budget deficit is projected at 9.18 trillion naira.
We have adopted a conservative oil price benchmark of $77.96 per barrel and daily oil production estimate of 1.78 million barrels per day. We have also adopted a naira to US dollar exchange rate of 750 per US dollar for 2024. Accordingly, an aggregate expenditure of 27.5 trillion naira is proposed for the federal government in 2024, of which the non-debt recurrent expenditure is 9.92 trillion naira, while debt service is projected downward to be 8.25 trillion naira, and capital expenditure is 8.7 trillion naira. Nigeria remains committed to meeting its debt obligations. Projected debt service is 45% of the expected total revenue. The budget deficit is projected at 9.18 trillion naira in 2024. Or 3.88% of GDP. This is lower than the 13.7 trillion naira deficit recorded in year 2023, which represents 6.11% of GDP. The deficit will be financed by new borrowings totaling 7.83 trillion naira. Strategically, 298 billion naira from privatization proceeds and 1.05 trillion naira drawdown on multilateral and bilateral loans secured for specific projects.
Tinubu announced the 2024 budget of Renewed Hope aims to tackle critical issues, boost the economy, and resolve security concerns in the upcoming fiscal year.
The 2024 appropriation has been themed Budget of Renewed Hope. The proposed budget seeks to achieve job-rich economic growth, macroeconomic stability, a better investment environment, enhance human capital development, as well as poverty reduction and greater access to social security. Defense and internal security are recorded top priority. The internal security architecture will be overhauled to enhance law enforcement capabilities and safeguard lives, property, and investment across the country. Human capital is the most critical resource of national development. Accordingly, the budget prioritizes human development with particular attention to children, the foundation of our nation. To improve the effectiveness of our budget performance, government will focus on ensuring value for money, greater transparency, and accountability. In this regard, we will work more closely with development partners and the private sector to address long-standing issues in education, a more sustainable model of funding tertiary education will be implemented, including the student loan scheme planned to become operational by January 2024.
The Senate President Godswill Akpabio praised President Tinubu's development plans, stating that Nigeria has never had such ambitious plans since its founding fathers.
We need to acknowledge the specific achievements of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration so far. Those who doubted him initially forgot his track record as the governor of Lagos State from 1999 to the year 2007. And Lagos, of course, is Nigeria's melting pot. Nigerians strongly believe that with the debt profile of the day today, that we are the man for the job to fix our economy. Already we have seen significant economic reforms, starting with the courageous removal of the petroleum subsidy, which has become an albatross to our nation. We have taken the right steps to unify the multiple foreign exchange markets.
In view of this and the related challenge of high level of public debt, the National Assembly will ensure that the 2024 budget includes concrete strategies for sustainable debt management, including measures to increase revenue and control expenditure. Specifically, the focus should be on raising more revenue through tax reform, fiscal reform, subsidy reform, foreign exchange convergence, and centralized revenue collection. In our recent engagement with MDAs on the MTEF, we emphasized the need for revenue-generating agencies to double their targets to meet the 18 trillion revenue projected in the budget. Mr. President, the effectiveness and legitimacy of fiscal policies depend to a very large extent on public support. As the People's House and in line with our legislative agenda, the House of Representatives will convene the first National Citizens Budget Town Hall to harness public input and opinion on this budget. We are convinced that this will increase transparency and accountability, improve policy making, and increase trust in government. Public participation in the budgetary process has been shown to improve resource allocation and service delivery, as well as a more stable and robust economy.
Nigeria's Renewed Hope budget, set to be approved in January 2024, aims for fiscal sustainability, economic growth and security, marking the country's highest ever budget. Joining us now to look at the 2024 budget presentation is an international finance and economic analyst, Mukhtar Mohammed. Good evening and welcome to our news, Mukhtar.
Thank you for having me this evening.
Okay, we've seen this ambitious budget that the president has said is going to see to a job-filled economy, and is going to address security issues and so many other concerns. And both the House of Reps and the Senate are very confident that this budget is going to do just what it has said it's going to do. Do you share the same opinion with them?
I'm happy that you used my word that I've been using throughout today when I saw the budget. Ambitious, very, very ambitious budget, an ambitious administration. When you look at the key indices of those budgets, you just wish if they will come to pass, then that would really be good. But where I am now, where I'm seated now with what I'm seeing, I'm not as optimistic as they are, but maybe they have better information than me, because I've not seen the details of this budget. Maybe they have seen the details. We are still waiting for the Minister for Budget and Planning to give us more details. But where I am now with what the president have listed are key areas, I can say for sure it will be very, very difficult to get this budget up on stream. You are looking at a GDP of 3.7. I mean, how is that achievable in an economy that is struggling to even pay salaries for a civil servant that we say they borrow, and 45% of revenue is going into debt servicing. But again, you will be happy that it's more than it's less than what was happening before. Before we're doing about 87 to 90% of our revenue was going to debt services. So we have 45%. Also, you look at the oil benchmark. I was excited at 73, but they have moved it to 79. 77. But you and I know that might not be the end, because the legislators also may decide to jack it up. So in terms of other variables of that budget, exchange rate was moved from 700 to 750. It's still, I mean, for me, that's the right price of the naira to the dollar. But unfortunately, there's no liquidity. So I hope they will be able to attract liquidity to maintain that rate. I'm excited again that we'll see foreign borrowing is coming down. It's about 30 to 33%. And domestic borrow is going to go up. And with domestic borrow, you don't have to deal with currency fluctuation, exchange rate volatility. So again, I'm also excited that budget deficit has come down from 11 trillion to 9 trillion. And so I'm also excited that we're looking at revenue at 18 trillion, but oil production at 1.78 million barrels per day, revenue at 18 trillion. And the president has assured that more businesses will not be taxed, but they will widen the tax bracket, get more Nigerians into tax. So we are waiting, we are watching, but like you said, it's a very ambitious budget.
Yeah, but to realize all the things that are in the budget, it goes beyond just voting money for particular things to be done. Do you see a policy direction that is going to help the country achieve what they want to achieve with this kind of a budget?
Policy direction, $1 trillion economy. That's where we are moving to. So I'm surprised that Mr. President never made mention of it today in his budget presentation, the $1 trillion economy. I thought that was what we should be hearing all through. So I think that's a policy roadmap. I want to get an economy that's $1 trillion. The statement, like I said, is more or less like a politician is telling us what you do, like you stay campaigning. But we are waiting for those details to know if this budget can see the light of the day. Like you rightly pointed out, it needs a lot of structuring to be able to get this budget right. You need to look at how can you govern that. The president said they will drop by inflation from a high of 30% to 21.4%. That is extremely ambitious. And he said the cost of doing business will come down with the rising cost of energy. I wonder how we are going to achieve that. So there's we need a lot of structure to be put in there. And that's why I'm saying that we might just have to wait for the Minister for Budget and Planning. The borrowing is still there. Remember, Mr. President is borrowing about 7.8 billion, even if he has a moratorium of about 22 years and at a percentage of 2.5%, which is not bad. And so that's why our debt profile has not gone up, because we will not start paying that debt until 22 years from now. So he said those are going to critical infrastructure. You know, the president keeps saying critical infrastructure. We need to know what these critical infrastructures are. That's what we'll be asking the Minister for Budget and Planning, because it's good. Borrowing itself is not a bad idea, but we must be sure that we are borrowing for capital expenditure, and this expenditure can be able to take care of themselves to provide the needed liquidity to pay off this debt. It's not just borrowing for consumption, like what we saw in the supplementary budget, where almost all of it was made off of consumption, with exception, with that exception of the student loan. But again, that also is made for consumption because it's not bringing any money into the economy. So I'm not really very, very optimistic. I think it's an ambitious budget, but again, we have to wait and see if we see the light of the day.
Yeah, well, let's hope that the words of the Speaker of the House of Representatives will come to pass, where they will have to pass this budget by the people and see how, or feel the pulse of the people and see if they like it or there are things that need to be, adjusted a little bit. We'd like to thank you so much, Mukhtar, for coming on the program this evening.
Thank you for having me.
Have a lovely night.
You too.
Well, the People's Democratic Party has criticized the proposed 27.5 trillion naira budget for the 2024 fiscal year by President Bola Tinubu to the National Assembly as deceitful, adding that it has no mechanism for economic recovery. Tinubu on Wednesday presented a budget of renewed hope before a joint session of the Senate and the House of Representatives. In a statement signed by its National Publicity Secretary, Debo Olugunagba, the PDP urged the National Assembly to reject the appropriation bill and argued that if allowed to pass, it would plunge the country into economic depression. Meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu has departed Abuja for Dubai, the United Arab Emirates, to attend the COP28 Climate Summit, which takes place on the 1st and 2nd of December 2023, according to Presidential spokesman Ajuri Ngelale. At the World Leaders Summit, which will take place on December 1 and 2, 2023, with the theme Unite, Act and Deliver, Tinubu will deliver a national statement highlighting Nigeria's stance on various thematic issues, including renewable energy and climate change financing. While in Dubai, he is also expected to participate in key sideline events, which will further support the advancement of his avowed commitment to aggressively attract foreign direct investment for enhanced wealth creation and revenue expansion in the country, in addition to other events hosted by the Nigerian delegation. He had also informed the National Assembly during the 2024 budget presentation that the Nigerian delegation will strive to emerge from COP28 with tangible commitments and work towards securing substantial funding commitments that will bolster Nigeria's energy transition. The president is accompanied by senior government officials to the summit, also known as the 28th United Nations Climate Change Conference, or Conference of the Parties of the UNFCCC COP28. Governor Peter Mbah of Enugu State has praised President Bola Tinubu's economic policies for their positive impact on foreign direct investment, FDI. He stated that the state is safe for investors to invest in and is seeking collaborations with the federal government for the construction of a cargo terminal and the completion of the international wing of Akanu Ibom International Airport.
It is essentially, first of all, to commend the president, frankly, because he's a lot of the things that he's doing at the national level is also rubbing off on us at the state level. The policies, the removal of the fuel subsidy, the unification of the FX, what that simply means is that you're going to have a lot of FDIs coming in, and so we're also going to benefit from that.
Governor Mbah expressed readiness for investment and stated that the sit-at-home issue and related insecurity have been adequately addressed.
So the sit-at-home thing is gone. We no longer have a sit-at-home in Enugu, and I dare say in the southeast. We have our workers go to work on Mondays, and the schools are open, the business activities, the economic activities are back. So what we're dealing with now is to erase that sad memory from our history, so it's no longer there. So in terms of security, we have relatively enhanced security situation in the zone. And so we're calling on those who want to come and invest in the zone to please come. Enugu State is open for business.
Governor Mbah also called on investors to invest in the zone, assuring that the state is open for business. In the meantime, the National Judicial Council may on Friday send the names of 11 successful candidates to President Bola Tinubu for appointment into the Supreme Court. It is also gathered that 22 shortlisted justices were screened on Tuesday at the committee room of the NJC in Abuja from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. One of our correspondents learned that the screened justices were divided into priority and reserved candidates. The Apex Court was reduced to 10 justices following the retirement of Musa Datijo. His retirement came after that of Justice Amina Ogie on September 22, 2023, and the death of Justice Chima Nweze on July 31, 2023. The 10 justices at the Supreme Court fall short of the 21 stipulated by Section 230, subsection 2 of the 1999 Constitution. A political group under the aegis of the People's Democratic Party Concerned Group in Nasarawa State has called on the Supreme Court to carefully review the recent judgment of the appeal court sitting in Abuja, which validated Governor Abdullahi Sule as the authentic winner of the 2023 governorship election in the state. Recall that the tribunal had on October 2 sacked Governor Sule of the All Progressives Congress and declared David Ombugadu of the PDP as the actual winner of the election. Speaking at the end of the peaceful protest held against the judgment in Lafia, the leader of the group, Adamu Henry, urged the Supreme Court to thoroughly look into the judgment of the appeal court in the Nasarawa governorship election in the interest of upholding the ideals of democracy in Nigeria. Henry lamented that the judgment fell short of real democratic principles that govern the nation, while expressing worry over the decision of the appeal court, which seemed to shield the insecurity or insincerity of the Independent National Electoral Commission in its declaration of Sule as the duly elected governor of the state.
Witness a decision that seems to shield the insincerity of INEC, their irregularity, thereby questioning the credibility of our electoral process. We wish to highlight specifically instances of irregularity that were overlooked by the tribunal under the guise of technicalities. Authorities, particularly the Supreme Court, to thoroughly scrutinize this matter, rectify the injustice that have been committed. We trust in the integrities of the judiciary, a commitment to upholding the ideals of democracy in Nigeria.
The certified true copies, CTC, of the Kano State governorship election appeal at the Court of Appeal in Abuja is the subject of an investigation by the National Judicial Council, NJC. There has been confusion and broad criticisms of the CTC resulting from the appellate court's decision on Friday, November 17, which dismissed Governor Abba Kabiru Yusuf of the New Nigeria People's Party, NNPP, and replaced him with Umar Mohamed Bangari. The Chief Registrar of the Court of Appeal, acknowledged the clerical flaws in the document in a statement on Wednesday, November 22, but insisted that the court's decision remains valid. In an interview, the head of the delegation said that the petitions had been received and that the council will handle them in accordance with the regulations. The senior official stated that the NJC's probe will proceed, even though Governor Yusuf's attorney chose to include the CTC in the topics of the Supreme Court appeal. One person has been confirmed killed in fresh protests that rocked Kano State over an appeal court verdict sacking Governor Abba Yusuf of the New Nigeria People's Party, NNPP. The deceased Salisu Rabiu, identified as a footballer, is one of the persons shot by policemen dispersing protesters. Wednesday's protest is the fourth since the appellate court sacked the governor on November 17, 2023, and declared All Progressives Congress APC candidate Nasiru Gawuna as the winner of the March poll. On Wednesday, protesters gathered in some locations across the state with placards having inscriptions like "Our mandate must be restored," "Kanu voted for Abba," "Injustice exposed in CTC," amongst others. Wearing the color of a popular the red color of a which is popular among the Kwankwasiya, a social-religious movement with NNPP 2023 presidential candidate and ex-Kano governor Rabiu Kwankwaso as the group's leader, the protesters chanted solidarity songs to register their displeasure. Policemen were seen stationed at the various entrances of the state. The protesters blocked the road linking to Katsina State, preventing commuters from traveling. In a statement, the police spokesman in the state, Abdullahi Kiyawa, confirmed the death of one of the protesters in the Fage local government area of the state. We move now to Kogi State, where Dino Melaye, the PDP governorship candidate in the state, has withdrawn from the All Progressives Congress APC election due to a loss of confidence in the judiciary. Melaye accused the court of being an APC department, not an autonomous institution. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, announced APC candidate Usman Ododo as the winner. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has stated its office in Lokoja was under siege on Wednesday by persons it described as a mob, preventing its staff from carrying out their assigned responsibilities. A statement in Abuja by the Kogi Resident Electoral Commissioner, Dr. Hale Gabriel Longpet, said the mob also prevented lawyers involved in the recent off-cycle election in the state from inspecting materials used for the exercise. The Commission, however, assured that it was committed to granting unimpeded access to all materials needed to prosecute their petitions. The Northern Senators Forum has called on Nigerian President Bola Tinubu and the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, leaders to restore electricity supply to the Niger Republic, citing the ongoing restrictions causing hardship to the Niger citizens. The forum also emphasized the need for the openings of airports for business purposes and urged Nigeria to respect the Nigeria-Niger Treaty mandate. They also called for the lifting of political and economic sanctions imposed on the country.
Recognizing the diverse needs for our students, we need to continue to strengthen and expand inclusive education programs and provide services that ensure that no child is left behind. Our mission as a ministry is to dismantle existing barriers to the attainment of these goals and ensure that every child's right to quality education is attained.
Being inclusive isn't about applying special treatment. It's a way of being, a state of mind, an approach and a set of values that are put into action and embedded. And when all stakeholders work together,
The Northern Central Forum urged the ECOWAS to lift restrictions on the Niger Republic in the interest of business and border communities. It is important that Nigeria should not suffer because of the coup that took place. Just that we have seen what is happening in Gaza. We urge the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Commander-in-Chief of Nigerian Forces, and of course, the Chairman of ECOWAS, Senator Ahmed Bola Tinubu, to, as a matter of humanitarian gesture, restore electricity supply to Niger Republic, in line with the Nigeria-Niger Treaty mandates. We therefore call for the attention of Nigerians and Nigerians that we remain brothers, we remain partners, and we remain Africans.
The forum requests the Niger junta to establish a transition timetable of no more than 2 years. In a bid to champion inclusivity and equity in education, the British Council has commenced a 3-day annual Inclusive Education Conference in Nigeria. Educators, policymakers, and stakeholders from across the country are gathered to discuss and come up with solutions addressing the theme, fostering inclusion and equity in education. Nigeria's Minister of State for Education, Dr. Yusuf Tanko Sununu, who was represented by his special advisor, Atiku Abubakar, and the British Council Country Director, Lucy Pearson, emphasized the need for sustained efforts to dismantle barriers to inclusive education, ensuring that no child is left behind. The Council reassured the federal government of its commitment to fostering collaboration and sharing best practices.
Is left behind. Our mission as a ministry is to dismantle existing barriers to the attainment of these goals and ensure that every child's right to quality education is attained.
being inclusive isn't about applying special treatment. It's a way of being, a state of mind, an approach and a set of values that are put into action and embedded. And when all stakeholders work together for inclusiveness, all children will thrive in our schools and our societies. Persons with disabilities unequally suffer the brunt of educational exclusion. We therefore need to rethink the way in which we conceive education and how we implement learning programmes. We need to transform our education systems, schools and learning centres and make them accessible to and equipped for persons with special needs and those who face societal obstacles and prejudices.
Speakers, including Professor Ismail Junaidu, Executive Secretary of the Nigerian Educational Research and Development Council, NEDC, and Oyeniyi Olaiton, who represented the head of National Office, West African Examination Council, WAEC, addressed critical issues and expressed optimism about the impact of the conference on shaping future educational policies.
We also note that implementing the framework needs a holistic approach within the framework of effective partnership and collaboration, just as the initiative done by the British Council. We need to collaborate. We need to partner.
With the commencement of WAS from paper-based to computer-based method of assessment, it has become imperative to include candidates with special needs in electronic assessment approaches, thereby creating an enabling platform for them to participate seamlessly in our exams. Effective collaborative engagement between diverse stakeholders is vital to supporting the development and educational opportunities, outcomes of students with special needs.
Other development partners, including the Nigerian Governors Forum, represented by Dr. Leo Ebenezer, James Odonagwe of the United Kingdom Development Office, and Linda Ashaolu of the United States Agency for International Development, USAID, also emphasized the importance of inclusive education as a catalyst for societal development. However, the organizers say workshops and panel discussions or sessions have also been designed to provide a platform for attendees to explore innovative approaches, ensuring that education caters to the diverse needs of the learners.
To foster inclusive and affordable education devoid of discrimination and deprivation. I encourage you to provide solutions and recommendations to improve inclusive and quality education for children with special needs for national socio-economic development and for overall nation building.
It enables a positive learning environment, an environment where all children feel included and involved. It improves academic achievements and obviously leads to egalitarian society. So these are others, some of the reasons that why the British Council, in our pursuit to create an environment where anyone is left behind, nobody is left behind in the education system, that we are committing resources, committing time, and then also encouraging you all to join us in this.
The conference aims to inspire actionable steps towards creating a more equitable education system in Nigeria, engaging participants in quality discussions, promoting the establishment of networks that will facilitate ongoing collaboration, and setting the stage for tangible changes that will benefit the students of all backgrounds across the country, aligning with global best practices. The National Youth Service Corps members have been advised to imbibe the spirit of serving the state of their country or their primary national assignment where they were duly posted to, rather than having the perception of cutting corners to relocate from one state to another that portrays an unpatriotic spirit. The state coordinator of NYSC Kaduna State, Hassan Taora, stated this during the opening and swearing-in ceremony of 2023 Batch C Stream 2 Corps members in Kaduna.
The NYSC is a national assignment. So if a corps member will begin to think of going back to his or her state of origin to do an NYSC, so it means that person is not doing national service. Yes, so ideally, as somebody who has been trained in university, in polytechnics for 3, 4, 5 years, they should know that this country is a great country, and the country needs them, particularly at this material time when challenges are very enormous. So for them to feel comfortable, to have it in their mind that wherever they are posted, they should stay there and render their selfless service to their fatherland, for me, is the best thing they should be able to imbibe.
The Kaduna State Governor, Uba Sani, who was represented by Special Advisor on Revenue Matters, Umaru Waziri, said the state government has put on human capital development for National Youth Service in the state, which remains a strong pillar for such a cause. He urged corps members to use the 3 weeks they are to spend in the camp to acquire relevant skills for self-reliance during and after their service year.
Kaduna State welcome every Nigerian to make Kaduna its home.
So they should not only come here and serve with the intention of going and leaving Kaduna. They should come and be part of Kaduna state citizenry. Let them come and exploit the opportunities that are here. The governor is working hard, attracting investment, making Kaduna better. There are improved infrastructure. So Kaduna is a choice destination for home in Nigeria.
The current Osun state government says it has constructed over 70 kilometers of roads, with several kilometers ongoing at different areas in the 3 senatorial districts in the state within its 1 year in office. The state government says in the 3 senatorial districts, 27.2 kilometers of road was constructed in Osun West, 14.4 kilometers in Osun East, with 28.6 kilometers in Osun Central. The government also said it has renovated 445 health centers with revitalized health insurance scheme, coupled with efficient resident doctors' welfare. It also emphasized that there is no going back on its planned 100 billion naira special infrastructure projects to be completed within 1 year. The state governor, represented by Commissioner for Information Kola Alimi, stated this while addressing journalists on the developmental strides of their Adeleke-led administration in its 1 year in office. Transformative efforts of the government on education, agriculture, mining, potable water, and strategies to curtail environmental degradation, among others, were also reeled out during the 1 year anniversary press briefing.
We completed key intercity roads like the Ikirun-Osogbo Road, while Iwo-Osogbo is ongoing. We completely rehabilitated 31 schools with another 31 in the pipeline. We built 332 water projects, while major water works at Iwo, Ede, Osogbo, Ekwende are under rehabilitation.
The area of old pipes, governor has given us the mandate and he has started it. We are now exhuming the old pipes. The old pipes are now they are now obsolete. Even when you complete all the production line from the machine, you see that after getting to the consumer, you will still see that the water will be contaminated because of the bad pipes. So we are now exhuming all the old pipes. We are now burying, we are now installing another new pipe. The pipe that is being approved by WHO.
Transportation is very key in our life, and we cannot do without it. We are getting a very big assistance from our governor because he's a man of the people. He puts people before everything. Also, people is very paramount to him, and he has been very supportive. And as I'm talking to you, as soon as possible, we are going to have more buses running around.
Protesters from Iyowa Dekwe in Ugbaru local government area of Anambra State stormed the government house to protest burning of houses and vehicles in the area by hoodlums. The protesters with placards blocked the gate of the government house in Oka with security men on hand to guard the area. Governor Chukwuma Soludo condemned the action by the suspected hoodlums. The governor ordered that anyone involved in the act should be apprehended and brought to book. He spoke through his chief of staff, Mr. Ernest Ezeajugi, while addressing the people of Iyowa community under the umbrella of Iyowa Community Landlords Residents Association in Ogbaru local government area. He assured the protesters that justice must surely take its course. According to him, the government will take the matter seriously to ensure that it is resolved amicably. The leader of the protesters, Dr. Tony Chukwunonso Prince-Will, who spoke to reporters shortly after the exercise, informed the government that those behind the attack were still moving around the streets of their houses for further destruction. He said a total of 10-story buildings and 30 vehicles were burnt by the hoodlums alleged to have been led by one of the sons of Odekwe community on November 7 around 7 a.m. Still ahead, U.S. military aircraft crashes off coast of Japan. Details when we return.
My name is Adejoke Lasisi.
I'm the founder and creative director of Planet 3R. At Planet 3R, we convert textile and plastic waste into eco-friendly products. The motivation actually came from a rural community in Ibadan here. Whenever it rains, the whole place, people will not be able to go inside the community. If it rains overnight, people will not be able to go to school, they will not be able to go to work. Anytime the water now goes away, you now realize a lot of waste spin. And I was like, this is actually the root cause of this problem, improper waste management system. Then I look at it that, what can we do to solve this problem? And that was how I started using the weaving skill that I've acquired from my mom since I was 9 years old. Then I started using it to like weave those waste to now make sure that we now convert them into beautiful items like bags, shoes, even clothing. I actually participated at Womenpreneur Season 3, that was 2021. One of the things I really gained at that time was business development. You know, it's not just about the talent now or having to know how to convert the waste or having the idea, but to be able to put it into a successful business. I really appreciate what Access Bank is doing for entrepreneurs. Let us now say women now, because most of the time women don't really have much of these advantages. I love the fact that there's an initiative for women. I want to encourage you to make sure that you go and apply honestly. Your life will not remain the same again.
Welcome back. We move now outside Africa, where a U.S. military aircraft, a CV-22 Osprey, has crashed into the sea off the coast of southern Japan, killing 8 crew members. The aircraft disappeared from radar at 2:40 p.m. local time and was found with a deployed lifeboat. The aircraft's left engine appeared to be on fire as it went down into the sea near Yakushima Airport. The U.S. forces in the region are still gathering information about the incident. The hybrid aircraft, which can take off and land like a helicopter but can rotate its propellers and cruise like an aeroplane, has a troubled history with fatal crashes. Up next, President Xi backs CBN's bank recapitalization, investors rush for mega stocks. That's in business news after this short break.
Picture this. You're sitting at a table, ready to indulge in a mouth-watering meal. Stop. For many of us, it is hard to resist the temptation, especially when it comes to enjoying a juicy beef dish. But have you ever stopped to think about the impact of your food choices on the greater good? Our food choices have a great impact on others. The beef industry is one of the leading contributors to deforestation. As trees are cleared to make way for cattle ranching, it not only disrupts the delicate balance of ecosystems, but also contributes to climate change. We can make a difference with our choices. It does not mean we all have to become vegans overnight. Imagine enjoying fish and poultry a few times a week, indulging in beef just once a month, and filling our plates with plenty of plant-based goodness. Every little bit counts, and even small reductions in our intake can make a huge impact on the climate. By making smarter food choices, we're not only taking care of ourselves, but also the planet we call home. Remember, the choices we make today lead to a better tomorrow.
Very good evening and a warm welcome to the Business Desk. The presidency on Tuesday has expressed support for the banking sector consolidation initiative of the Central Bank of Nigeria, saying it would help the country to grow the economy to a new height. This came barely 5 days after the CBN said it would ask banks to raise new capital. According to the presidency, it has become important to consider the capital adequacy of Nigerian banks in light of the projected $1 trillion economy in 8 years. Representing President Bola Tinubu at the 40th anniversary celebration of the Guardian newspapers in Lagos on Tuesday, the President's Special Advisor on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, said there would be a strong need to revisit the capital adequacy levels of banks. The National Automotive Industry Development Plan, NAIDP, is being reworked by stakeholders to ensure its swift passage into law. Director General of the NADDC, Joseph Osenikwe, emphasized the importance of the auto policy in Nigeria's automotive growth. He affirmed the Council's commitment to working with key stakeholders, including NAMA, to advance the project. Now, the Nigerian Automotive Manufacturers Association, chaired by Bawu Omogbese, has pledged to work closely with the Commission and all the authorities for proper implementation of the auto policy. And still in business, the House of Representatives has approved the sum of 1.27 trillion naira for pension, gratuities and retiree benefits, announced an effort by the National Pension Commission to ensure all retirees receive their pensions. Now, the 2024 to 2026 medium-term expenditure framework and fiscal strategy paper includes a borrowing plan of 7.8 trillion naira for 2024. The lower chamber also sets benchmark oil prices and daily crude oil production levels, as the paper recommends spending of 26 trillion naira, including retained revenue, budget deficits, new borrowings, statutory transfers, debt service costs, sinking fund, and pension. Moving on, the Federal Inland Revenue Service FIRS Chairman Zach Adediji has called for a synergy with the Economic Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC) to help track and report local and trans-border financial transactions of companies, multinationals, and high-net-worth individuals. The collaboration is necessary as socio-economic activities are transitioning to a digital and knowledge-driven economy. Ola Olukoyede has also assured the assistant relationship will be sustained. And that's the much to take in Business Desk. I am Emmanuel Olububokun. The news continues shortly.
Coming up next is entertainment news.
Calm Down, the hit song of Nigerian singer Divine Ikubo, popularly known as Rema, has been ranked as the most Shazam song of 2023 globally. The song made history as the first African song to top the global Shazam year-end list. Calm Down beat Miley Cyrus' Flowers and Lady Gaga's Bloody Mary, which ranked second and third respectively, to achieve the feat. Meanwhile, Calm Down remix featuring Selena Gomez has been ranked number 12 most streamed song in the world on Apple Music in 2023. It is also ranked number 45 and most streamed song of 2023 in the US on Apple Music. Naira Marley and Sam Larry have made their first public appearance alongside Malian signees Zinoleesky after the duo were released from police custody. Naira Marley and Sam Larry were arraigned and remanded on October 6 over their alleged involvement in circumstances surrounding the death of singer Mohbad. On Friday, November 17, they were released after meeting their bail conditions. On Tuesday, November 28, a video of both men with Zinoleesky, who has been accused of allegedly betraying Mohbad, emerged. All three men were in good spirits in the video as they were spotted sharing food to the needy at an orphanage home in Lagos, causing a renewed outrage from fans of Mohbad. It is another major win for the Nigerian music industry as singers Adekunle Kosoko, aka Adekunle Gold, and Yemi Alade are among the list of artists with soundtracks on the Hollywood movie The Book of Clarence. The soon-to-be-released movie by Jamie Samuel, which is set to be released in January, also features soundtracks from Lil Wayne, Buju Banton, Shabba Ranks, JC, among others. Sharing the good news on his Instagram page, Adekunle Gold wrote that it is great to see such incredible representation in a film of its kind. Hip-hop mogul Diddy's partnership with Capital Preparatory Schools has come to an end amid his ongoing sexual assault allegations. On Tuesday, November 28, Dr. Steve Perry, the founder and head of schools for Capital Preparatory, released a statement regarding the severed partnership between the company and Diddy. According to the statement, the decision was made after a thorough evaluation that wasn't taken lightly. Diddy helped launch the chartered school Harlem location back in 2016 and donated $1 million in 2021 for its Bronx location.
And now, sports news.
In a recent statement, Coach Justin Madugu shed light on the exclusion of defender Ashley Plumter from the national team, citing the player's ongoing battle with injuries. Plumter, a key figure in the squad, has been dealing with various knocks that have hindered her full recovery and participation in recent national team engagements. Coach Madugu emphasized the necessity for Plumter to take a break from national team commitments to allow her the essential rest needed for complete recovery. The decision to exclude her from the current squad stems from the coaching staff's concern for her well-being and the recognition that a period of rest is crucial to her overall fitness. Despite her absence from the active roster, Coach Madugu reassured fans and supporters that Plumter remains an integral part of the national team. Coach Madugu expressed confidence in Plumter's abilities, stating that once fully recovered, she will undoubtedly resume her role within the team. Everton are expected to submit their appeal against the deduction of 10 Premier League points handed down by an independent commission on Friday. The club was sanctioned on November 17th for a breach of the Premier League's profit and sustainability rules and have 14 days to lodge an appeal. Once it has been submitted, the case will then be considered by an independent appeals commission, which will include a different set of people from the original commission panel. Everton said they were shocked and disappointed by the ruling and vowed to appeal against it. Quote, both the harshness and severity of the sanction imposed are neither a fair nor a reasonable reflection of the evidence submitted, end quote, said the club. The deduction, which was meted out by an independent commission and imposed with immediate effect, is the largest in the history of the Premier League and plunged Sean Dyche's team into the relegation zone.
And now the main news again. Tinubu presents 27.5 trillion naira 2024 budget of renewed hope as PDP condemns rendition of Tinubu's campaign tune. President Tinubu departs Abuja for COP28 climate summit in Dubai. One killed in fresh Kano protest over appeal court verdict. EU cancels election observation mission due to technical issues in DRC. And that's the news now. For more stories, please follow us on Facebook, X, and Instagram, and do subscribe to our YouTube channel at Plus TV Africa and Plus TV Africa Lifestyle. You can also view us from Limex on limex.tv and Glow TV apps anywhere in the world. My name is Nyamgul Agaji. Have a lovely night.
Increase the reach of your events or business services. To advertise on Plus TV Africa, please call 0906 000 5719 or 0909 040 8408 or send an email to marketing@plustvafrica.com. Plus TV Africa. Big stories live here.
When you hear of drug abuse, what comes to your mind?
When we say drug abuse, it seems like something that is so distant, but it's happening every day in our homes.
1 in every 4 persons has mental illness.
Regardless of your notion of what drug abuse is, you are sure to get the right meaning here. Welcome to Regardless, an anti-drug abuse television show put together by Christ Against Drug Abuse Ministry.
Regardless, the anti-drug abuse show, airing on Plus TV Africa every Tuesday at 5:30 p.m.
and hello Nigerians. It's that time again of True Nigerians Heroes of Our Time, a program where we bring to you Nigerians that are role models. My guest on the program today has done something that is worth saluting, something that is courageous, something that we know that will impact also on other young ones coming up or the Nigerian youths positively. That is why we find it fit to bring her on True Nigerians Heroes of Our Time. She works with Neptune Prime online newspapers as a journalist. My guest on the program, ladies and gentlemen, for the first time, True Nigerians Heroes of Our Time, Aisha Shettima Rabu. Nagudi.
Okay.
Samida.
Welcome. Yahua. Happy to see you today.
Okay, we have a traditional question, Aisha.
Okay.
How would you define a true Nigerian?
A true Nigerian is a patriotic Nigerian.
One of the issues, one of the major issues we want to talk about, especially in Nigeria, drug abuse has become a very bad and alarming thing in Nigeria, considering the amount of youths that are into drug abuse right now. What led you to drugs? How did you all start? How did you start taking drugs?
Yeah, I'm from Bauchi State.
Okay.
I do my primary school there, my secondary school there. I started Polytechnic. From there, I did not finish. Started ATV. I did not finish. So I did not start anything that time, but I smoke.
Okay, you started your Polytechnic.
Yes.
That means you went twice.
Yes. No.
You started Polytechnic in Bauchi.
Yeah.
You did not finish.
Tatari Aliwa.
Okay, Tatari Ali. You went to
ATV.
ATV.
From there, I went to UK. So that's why from the UK.
Okay, from there you traveled to UK.
No, it's not UK, Turkey.
Okay, Turkey. Okay, it's from Turkey that you all started?
No, from Nigeria.
From Nigeria, okay. Tell us. Tell us how you all started.
Okay.
You know, a lot of people are watching that we want to learn from your experience so that they don't fall into the same traps.
Yes, I went to start my school in BUK. Yes.
Okay.
So
UK, that's Bayero.
Bayero University in Kanua. So I started it from there, but nobody enforced me to do the drugs.
Okay.
But let me put it that way. I'm seeing one of my friends, his lecture. I'm seeing his movement when we go out. I used to hear codeine, Repano. I used to see cocaine in TV, movie, crack, all this thing. But I never expected that I'm going to take it. So when I started schooling there, one of my friends, when we go out, even in school, the way he's behaving, one day I say, it's like this guy is into...
How is he behaving? Is it
like he used to... It's not rough, he's gentle, very calm, but sometimes if you want to take something, like eating, I've been disturbing him, or I did not give him chance to go and do it, he will start para, all this thing, he will go. So I start following him to see what he's doing. But if you see me, or maybe I'll give him chance to go, after if I follow him, I'm not going to see what he's doing. So one day we went out to eat. So immediately we finished eating. He's not used to eat that much. So I followed him. That day, he really needed it. He can't do it without it at that moment.
Okay, he really needs
He really needed it. So that the first day in my life, I started seeing cocaine. So I used to see him with CD plate and razor with new money, new ones. So from there, I'm just watching him. I already see him. I catch him red-handed. The only thing he's saying, because he knows me very well, I can be crazy at that moment. He's saying I can explain, but let me finish what I'm doing. So I allow him. After he finished, we quarreled. I even slapped him.
To get him to stop?
Yes. But we are still friends, staying together. I'll come to my house, stay like 10 in the night. We go home. People in their house, they know me very well.
They know you and him?
Yes, as a friend. Even anything, his mom, she used to call me to ask, where is he? Is he fine? You understand? Because he used to open everything to me, but he hide that one because he knows.
So all this while that you knew him, you didn't know that all that was going on?
Yes,
okay.
But that day I found out what he's doing. So from there, we are going out. We are doing our thing normal. He's not around. Like he went out, I just patched small inside his own and kept it.
Okay. He goes out, so you take small.
And kept it for myself.
Okay.
So that might used to take 2 days. One day he's not sleeping, not eating, but when the thing comes, he will just pass out. So that pass out is not
the normal pass out.
Pass out. It's like he's waiting for me, I don't know.
Okay.
So I went to the toilet and I said, let me test it today. I started. I do 1 round, 2nd round, 3rd round. My own is finished. The one that I steal from him is finished.
The cocaine?
Yes. So when I go there and search, he don't have. It only remaining small. So he used to call the dealer from my phone. So I finish his on. Then I call the guy to bring it because I don't want him to wake up so that we are not going to have issue.
And all this while, he didn't know that you have started?
Now that day I start. Maybe past 5 months, almost 5 months, I know that he's taken, but I did not take. But that day, I said, let me just try because he used to take it in my front. So I took the cocaine for the first time. I got high. I enjoyed it. He wake up. He see the guy. He say, who called him? He say, I say, I'm the one. What happened? I say, something happened. So he pity me, but he say he is not happy.
That you started taking it?
Yes. I say, this is for the first time and the last time. I'm not going to take it again. So we did it. We spent money, I can't say it.
So you
I know some of my friends, when they see this video, they know who I'm talking about, but I'm not going to mention the name. But my friends from Kano, they know who I'm talking about.
You people were seriously in love at that time?
Not love, friends. We are friends. Just friends.
You're not even lovers. You're just friends.
Friends. We are not.
He was a male friend?
Yes. So then 3 of them, they are taking codeine, Repanol. So when I started, I go deeply into the thing. I'm not sleeping, I'm not eating. So I say, okay, since